So we got the Super Bowl this past Sunday.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
certain
I had
performer
rehearsal.
performed.
I I
Yeah,
I I had rehearsal, so I caught the clips, but
yeah, no, for sure. Um, but we got the Super Bowl this last Sunday, and that was the talk of the town, wasn't it? And a certain
Yeah.
performer, Bad Bunny. Now, Cheech, I'm dying to know your opinions, man. I had a few fans out there asking me too. Bad Bunny, Super Bowl.
Schopenhauer.
Here we go.
All right, everybody, how's it going? This is Cheech from the Cheech and Manny Show, and we have a new segment we're starting tonight. This is called the Esoteric Hour, and we're going to be talking about philosophers and mystics, and this is going to be the first in the series. We're going to talk about the will. And the will, how it affects people's lives, how it affects music. And we're going to talk about four different philosophers, but probably in this episode, we're going to focus on probably three. And one of them really isn't a philosopher, but more of a mystic. So we're gonna start with Schopenhauer, the man Nietzsche, and my man Aleister Crowley, who's more of a spiritualist, but he has amazing philosophies. So how's it going, Manner? I
Dude.
know this is right up your alley. When I wrote this, I said, and I feel like a dummy. I'm learning to be a
Mhm,
philosophy student
mhm,
now
mhm,
at 55 years. I've always read the
mhm,
books, but I wish I known you 30 years ago when I can say, what
mhm.
do they mean by this?
Well, first, life is good. So,
That's great.
loving life. Just sick since last Friday. Caught something, throat, it wasn't even like a sore throat, it's just a weird dry throat. And now, just like my nose faucet is not stopping. I'm like recently now recovering. This weekend I was like sneezing.
But dude, it's like you go outside and it's like today wasn't bad.
No, today
Like,
wasn't. This morning I
yeah.
heard it was bad with the ice and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was scraping that shit off my
Yeah. Yeah.
windshield. But like, was it the past 2 days? It was. I went outside. I sent it to my kid in the morning. Be careful. When you walk out and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
-1. It was like 1 degree. I'm sitting in the car going, "What the fuck?"
That's
I
crazy.
start my car like 25 minutes before I even go in it. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yeah, no,
insane.
and obviously, like, I think I don't know how he caught a cold. It's crazy. I think it's a cold because sneezing and but other than that, life is good though. And I'm really excited to be talking about this. This is the first, I guess we'll call it the inaugural episode of the
Yes.
Esoteric Hour. And I
Yeah.
remember a lot of our conversations at the temple by the metal table before we
Yeah.
did this project of our podcast was
Yeah.
around these ideas. And
Oh yeah.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. It was kind of like fate's kind of fate or meant to be because um I'm more this I'm more psychology even though I'm like
Yeah.
teaching right now, but I'm definitely more about the psychological aspects, but at the same time I got obsessed with philosophy and I have all this knowledge and
Oh
like
yeah.
nobody to dump it on, right? And then you and I would have these conversations and
Oh yeah, man.
consider this like the first episode or peek into that, which it's great because we're going to be talking about this idea of the will.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the famous either lunatic or visionary Aleister Crowley. For
Yeah.
many all out there, are going to be learning a few things about him.
Yeah.
Um, and we're gonna be talking about like dissecting the will here and seeing it
Yeah.
from like a lot of point of views and philosophical. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited. Like psychological is its own thing. Like psychological,
Yeah.
explain it.
And religion is a separate thing too when it
Those
comes to
two, yeah, those are definitely separate.
yeah.
I mean, they over kind of overlap, but they're kind of like really separate because what you
Yeah.
believe about the will definitely has consequences. But yeah,
And
good or
I
bad.
know I know me and you, maybe at the end of this we can discuss this. We had this discussion and I think you disagreed with my philosophy or
Mhm.
my theory on this.
Mhm.
And maybe in the end we could talk. I feel and I And this is a religious, this is where the religion gets in, because
Yes.
religion is always going to get in the way of the will, and Nietzsche especially,
Well, no,
you know,
and as a before you mention your point, with religion, uh, my expertise is I love theology, so that would be that study, as well as
yeah,
like um uh a- um talks talks about like philosophy versus theology.
yeah,
Back in the Middle Ages, it used to be said that theology was queen of the sciences. But if you read, this will be another episode, Kierkegaard, he has a few things to say about theology and biblical and Christian belief. But that's a whole, yeah, that, like you said, I don't know where you're going with this because, yeah, it's gonna, religion, like, and and the question here, without going into too much detail, is God. Like, that's,
yeah. My thing is, and I wrote a 20-piece prog metal song about existentialism and the will. And my thing is, I've always felt that a baby, like when you're born,
mm,
do you have, is your will there already when you're born? So, like, my thing is, I think it is, but then there's instinct, but like a baby does have will. I think you're born with true will, and that might be the only thing that you're born. Everything else is learned, and you have instinct and will. That's just like one of my theories that I've been
So
studying the
you think
will.
like a baby is born with will?
Yeah, it's
Well,
born.
but
You
what
can't be
will?
taught. You can't be taught will.
So it would be something that you think someone possesses.
Yeah, I don't think your mother or father could teach you will.
You're not a
Like,
blank slate.
yeah, like you're born into the world with your
So
your instincts.
for a baby, who what governs that will?
Well, God.
But let's say keep religion out of it. What governs it? Because most people don't believe in religion.
Okay, so let's just say,
And no, and the only reason why I'm saying that is because then that there are a lot of perspectives. Freudian, you already
yeah,
know. There's Darwinian. There is
right,
also the Schopenhauerian, all right, the Schopenhauer
my
perspective.
boy.
Yeah. We have also this idea that quite simply, and I think it's a little psychological, is that babies are just their wills are motivated by simple drives like eating, drinking, right? They're
But
so
but
they're so
but
basic.
but that's instinct though, right? That's your body.
So if you
I don't
say,
know. It's a tough thing to
well, if
decipher.
you mention instinct, what are instincts? What is that? Tell me.
Uh, I seen it when my kid was born. Like I never, kid pops out.
Right.
This is your baby. Gonna eat. Climbs onto his mom.
Hmm.
Latches on. Knew what to do instantly. Wasn't taught. I
Right.
don't think that we
Right.
didn't. Yeah. So that was the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my
Well,
life.
if that's the
How
case, so
did
those instincts now, what comes first? Like what precedes? It's like, and
or
this is
or
really
did my kid
no,
but
but
will to get
right,
that
well,
milk?
that will see. This is where, first of all, theologies enter the mix, right? But then also like philosophical, because what you believe. For example, let me give you an example. There was a famous. You know what? Do you know what a ethologist is? An ethologist,
No.
somebody that studies animal behavior. There was
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
there was a famous one in the 1950s, 60s, Conrad Lorenz. He looked into a lot of animal behavior and came up with like a lot of theories, psychological theories about animal behavior, right? So talk
Yeah.
about like instinct and will. Do animals have will? Like whatever. But it
Yeah.
turns out that he had this very funny thing where chicks, baby birds,
Oh, not
they,
women.
huh?
Not women.
No, not chicks. Not chicks. Good chicks. Which kind of chicks? No, but uh there's a fascinating thing that when a baby chick is born,
Yeah.
mother is there, right? Mother hen. I'm just giving you an example.
Yeah. No.
So the chick knows the mother. Now get this. You know what Conor Lorenz did? There's famous pictures of him doing this where he took the place of the mother hen, and the chicks instinctually followed him, right? Without
Oh, you
no.
told me this story.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
remember. So I was waiting to see if you
They
remember this.
messed up those poor chicks
Well,
forever.
yeah, no. Obviously, there are, I guess, animal ethical concerns here. But what I will say is like is what you're saying. So if you take these idea of an instinct, I mean, you're gonna have to be careful here. Do we want to take Darwin's approach? Do you want to take the Bible Catholic Christian approach?
Right, right.
Um, do you want to take like, and there's even the philosophical one, right? And even like the will to power, Nietzschean, will to power, will to survive, sex drive. So Freud, actually inspired by Schopenhauer, which we're going to talk about soon, was saying that infants have these basic drives and wills, but they're
Yeah.
motivated by unconscious forces, is sexual. This is where you come up with the theories of Oedipal complex.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
he was a little deranged himself, but
Oedipus
also a
Rex and all that.
cocaine user as well.
Yeah,
But anyway, the point is like, yeah, so it really depends, dude. And this is where it gets really complicated.
yeah.
What I think, for viewers out there,
Well, I know what you feel about the will. Like, what's the
right.
religion?
I guess we'll talk
Yeah,
about it after. That's a
yeah.
great. And
You
Chief,
know,
let me throw a question back at you.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
Mr. Crowley, the
yeah.
subject of the 1980 Ozzy Osbourne song, right? So, Mr.
Hmm.
Crowley, he's on the cover of the Sergeant Pepper Lonely Hearts Club
Yes,
Band by
yeah.
the Beatles album. Um, Now, what do you think? Is he a philosopher? Is he a mystic, or is he a lunatic? What's your opinion? 'Cause I know you're a Crowley fan. We'll go into a little more detail
Uh,
about that.
Crowley, is a mystic number one, a magician number one. That's what
Oh,
he's known for.
and that's a what you just mentioned. Thank you, magician, mystic. In my
Yeah,
opinion, I always put a line between philosopher and mystic. Now, I'm not saying
yeah,
that philosopher can become a mystic, or
yeah,
or a philosopher can be mystic, or mystic can become a philosopher.
yeah.
There's a difference in this the experience of the sublime and religion. You know,
Right. Crowley was number one. He's known as a great magician. You know, he came up in the Order of the Golden Dawn, and he practically took it over. And there's a just to throw a fun fact, the guy who started the Golden Dawn, his last name is Mathers, and there has been rumors for years that he's the great grandfather of Marshall Mathers.
Could be. I could
Now
see that.
there's a whole theory about that.
I could see it.
Um, just like Barbara Bush is Crowley's daughter. It's another theory. But Crowley's a magician, number one. He wrote many books on magic and stuff. I am not into that shit at all. Like, just to throw that out there. I never got into that.
And, and
I
just Blood, Sex, Magic, right? And what's really
Yeah.
interesting is Red Hot Chili Peppers name their album after that.
Well, yeah, he had a thing with sex magic. But the thing that fascinated me about Crowley was his philosophy. He's a
Mm.
philosopher. He wrote Thelema.
Right.
And we're going to
And it's
talk all
funny, you're
about
gonna
that.
hate me. See, I don't think he's a philosopher, and we'll debate later. But
Yeah, well,
and there's a reason why. But there's a reason why, very
he's
specific.
not a philosopher in the sense like Schopenhauer and Nietzsche, but when it comes to will, I think like everybody knows Crowley, do what thou wilt, be the
That's a
whole of the
famous
law.
maxim.
Like
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
will is a big thing with him. And that's what I got from Crowley. I got
Mm.
that. I got the will experience from Crowley from studying Thelema. And he's a lot like, Madame Blavatsky, if you ever heard of her. She's another mystic from the
Mhm.
era.
Mhm.
Crowley has a lot of Buddhism in his work. He
Mm.
studied a lot of that types of philosophy. So he's not just a crazy drug induced sex addict magician. He's got a lot of interesting philosophies that I've always been attracted to. And he's just somebody everyone is attracted to in England, especially Jimmy
Mm.
Page, the Beatles, you know. So he's definitely a unique character, one in a million. There's no one else in the world like Aleister Crowley.
Mm.
So
Now, I would wonder if we want another one. I mean, he would resemble one of those cult leaders.
yeah, but
I don't know if you agree with that. But
one thing about Crowley, people don't know he was not a Satanist. A lot of people
well, no. He's
associate
not a
him.
Satanist. No.
Not at
And
all.
what's fascinating on him, you would have to believe him, is that he alleged that he got visited by some Egyptian,
Yeah, Awas,
which
his holy guardian angel.
right, which for me that then opens the door to like interest, and maybe we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
I don't know if we have time for this one, but yeah. So okay, I like
that gets into the whole philosophy, and I'm conditioned will
no,
versus free
no,
will.
and he got that philosophy from that. So my thing is
Yeah,
that, and that's actually the main point. He's not a philosopher, but he is an interesting, a sort of religious mystic. And
definitely that. Yeah,
if we believe what he saw, so he got this knowledge from that, and then that inspired
yeah,
Polema and all that
yeah.
stuff. Anyway, we'll get into that.
And also
We'll
the
get
guy
into
was
that.
really talented. He
Yeah.
was
He's a
a
fascinating figure. I think the most fascinating is his impact on popular culture,
oh yeah, yeah.
specifically rock music. I think that's very interesting. I know we talked about it. Jimmy Page was obsessed with him.
Oh yeah.
You
David
know,
Bowie, because
David Bowie.
the English brought him over to the US unless you were already into
Yeah.
that kind of thing,
And,
you know.
and it's fascinating. I was watching something about him where he tried to do something in the United States, but here didn't catch on.
No, he's been in New York. He went to the Statue of Liberty. He's been in upstate New York.
Yeah.
He got a few Thelemites to follow him here, but he was bigger in Europe. People,
Mm.
the Italians loved him.
Mm.
The Abbey of Thelema was in Sicily. And another thing about him that's fascinating, why he was so bizarre, he was one of the greatest mountain climbers.
Yeah.
He climbed Mount
Very
Everest
fearless. Yeah.
and a great artist. His artwork is pretty good. So the guy dabbled in everything, and he was a manager of a band. My girl, Layla Waddles, had an all-girl violin group, like I don't know, like a couple cellos, a couple violins, and
Mhm.
he managed to go on tour with them. Well, doing magic rituals and shit. So, it's fascinating. But let's start off with my boy Arthur.
Arthur Schopenhauer.
Okay. All right. Arthur Schopenhauer. So I'm just gonna throw. You want to just talk about him a little bit, like where he's from, give because you know more on the history
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
about him as
Yeah.
about
Oh,
a
for sure. He
person.
look,
I
yo,
think
you've seen photos of him. This dude looks pretty scary. Like,
creepy.
I wonder
Yeah.
if there's an AI voice of him of what he might have sounded like. Like
Oh, there's an AI. I seen one on
he
Crowley.
looks pretty scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he's fascinating. German philosopher. He is very interesting if you read study him or read any of his books. Like working in like I know the years like 1800s, so we'll say 1840s, we'll say. I think
I think earlier, 1820s,
okay. Like
29.
yeah, pretty much the 1800s. Like
Yeah.
I think he died like in 1860.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever. So we're talking about those 1800s. Yeah, 18th century German philosopher. He's really famous. He's famous for his ideas on philosophical pessimism, right?
Yeah.
And yes, it is what you're thinking of, a pessimist.
It's dark.
These people are not fun to be around.
Built on ideas on Immanuel Kant.
Well, that's yeah, yes, yes. So, all of his philosophy is in response to the other famous. So Immanuel Kant, who exists in 1700s, started the Copernican turn in philosophy, right?
Yeah.
So this time, like, and again, Copernicus, if you know Copernicus, without going much detail,
Love him. Love him.
revolutions in thinking. Now,
And in astronomy.
yes. Yes. No, no. Well, that's the
Yeah.
thing. We don't revolve around the sun, right? Uh, uh, so like the sun doesn't revolve around us. We revolve around the sun.
Right,
Same thing
right.
with philosophy. So philosophy, Kant throughout this, the critique of pure reason, very difficult, but definitely recommended work.
Yeah.
He developed terms like noumena, just throwing one out there.
Yeah.
And he was trying to prove, knowledge. So how do we know something in the world exists? If you read the Critique of Pure Reason, he was trying, and it's crazy. He was answering David Hume's skepticism. So
Right.
there's this like weird in German philosophy, this obsession with epistemology. That's the
Yeah.
main thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. And what ends up happening is that he then he attempts using philosophy to demonstrate uh like sort of like how knowledge is caused, right? So anyway, this starts something, and one of the end results is Arthur Schopenhauer, the German philosopher.
Yeah.
And he develops this philosophical pessimism, We'll talk about what that means. He comes up with an idea of what the will is. So obviously Kant has an idea of the will.
Hmm. Kant's
Schopenhauer.
will, I don't advise.
Yes, yes.
I know people, young kids, whatever, don't read a manual of Kant. That should be banned from colleges, I think, because it's so dark, about like the way out, his way out is not cool.
Well, this is Schopenhauer, not Kant.
No, no, oh no, but no, Kant. Just as a, if you're gonna read a manual of Kant, like,
Oh, that's
be
interesting.
careful, be careful, because his way out was suicide.
No, 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 no. That's Camus.
Oh shit, I'm mixing them up.
Yeah, no, that
Fuck.
now we're
Oh,
going. Now
my
we're
bad.
going. Now
Oh,
that's the response. Existentialism.
okay.
Yeah,
Forget I said that. See,
yeah,
that's why I'm
yeah.
a student.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what happens. Anyway, so he comes and we'll talk about his ideas, but um so he's responding to Kant's and we should do another episode on him because but then we'll be definitely doing hardcore philosophy.
Yeah.
Um so we'll start there, but hopefully like that's he's German, right? He's
Yep.
influenced also strangely by Eastern thought, right? So
Yeah.
Eastern Buddhism, which is kind of
Right.
interesting.
Yep.
And Schopenhauer, yeah, he starts to come up with his idea of the will. So I don't know what else. Is that was that
No,
good?
that's good. Yeah. So, all right, I'm gonna dig. This is gonna be pretty heavy, I think. I'm gonna ask you these. I'm gonna talk about some things I wrote about them, and then we'll talk about it. So, the will centers on the idea that the will is the fundamental underlining reality of the entire universe. Well, we perceive the world as reference, why can't I think? We perceive the world as representations and collection of distinct objects in space.
Representation.
Representation
Yeah.
as a collection of distinct objects in space and time. He argues that these are merely appearances of a single blind and irrational force. Did I make any sense?
Uh yeah. Well, and then that's like the philosophy where when you think about will, right? You're entering like this idea. Oh, one of the famous ones is free will, which we'll talk about. Does free will
Oh, yeah,
exist?
we have, yeah,
That's gonna count on like a lot of things. Starting with Aristotle, there was an attempt to sort of like explain this, right? And what is the will? Does how does what and essentially what it does is what makes us to make decisions, what drives something, right?
right.
Um, so Aristotle started first. So, for example, his wills, right? What makes up what makes it up? How does the world react to will, right?
Hmm.
Are you already determined? Right. So that's another big
That's
question.
religion. Yeah,
Does free
that's.
will exist?
Are you
Yeah.
born with a will that's going to happen?
Right.
Destiny.
Right.
That's, yeah. But
Right.
like, out of the stuff I said, does that make any sense? The
Yeah.
reality of the universe.
Yeah. Yeah. We're talking about we're talking about here yeah, reality of the universe. So in other words, you know, our place with the universe as
Yeah.
well, right? A lot. And does the universe actually, another funny thing here is with the outside world, you know, do we drive the outside world or does the outside world drive us? That's another thing
Right.
too. That's like what you're talking about.
Yeah. That's I guess this concept. Appearances of a single blind and irrational force.
Well, that's Schopenhauer.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Right.
that,
So
that that's
so
his will.
Schopenhauer is going to say that the will now he has this different idea. He's going to say that it's blind. And actually very very kind of similar to Camus' idea of the universe and the existentialist philosophy.
Right.
But yeah, irrational, he says that the world is irrational.
Yeah.
So, and the fundamental reality behind all existence is this idea of the world as will.
Right.
Mhm.
Like, hold on. This phone. Okay.
And it's all about making choices as well, because
Yeah.
to um, Schopenhauer, because of that, because he thinks that, again, this is going to have consequences, but because he thinks that, um, that the will is like, and I don't know if you agree with this, is it blind? Like, is it this like irrational fun, and he calls it fundamental reality. You can't fight
Yeah.
it. No matter what you do, like, you know,
I mean, a collection of distinct objects in space and time, he argues these are merely appearances of a single blind and irrational force. Like, I don't even know what that means. Like
we say it again, say it again, I'll break it apart.
um okay, so representation and collection of of distinct objects in space and time. He argues these are merely appearances of single blind and irrational force.
Yeah. Yeah, so the world doesn't care about you. It's just a force that's there. And
Okay, so
so
just
what
so our viewers, this is Schopenhauer we're talking
right,
about. He's like, we
right,
don't want to mix up the
right.
other.
And he's building on, and not even building, but mostly like starting with how Kant started. So if anyone reads Kant, like, he says that there's objects out in the world. And so we sort of like create these images. Schopenhauer says that yes, there's these objects and all this good stuff, right?
Mhm.
But it's blind, it's irrational. It doesn't care about you. The world does not
Right.
care about you. And you're gonna
I
see
mean,
what, and think
to a
about it.
point, it's kind of true.
Well, before we say it's true, right? Because you're gonna say that because of your life experience. But before you say that, imagine saying that to a kid. Life doesn't care about you, right? Who
Oh, no,
cares?
no, you would never
Right?
say
It's
that. Well,
horrible. It's
I mean, you
pessimism.
could, and the kid will grow
No,
up
that
quick.
no, and that
You-
yes, and that well, and you see that when kids suffer horrible stuff like war,
Yeah,
orphan abandonment, all that good stuff.
yeah.
Good stuff, bad
I
stuff.
mean, you want to say to a kid, you can do anything you want in the world.
Eh,
Your dreams could come true, which
right.
would be I don't know what philosopher I can, definitely not Nietzsche.
Well,
Maybe
we'll
Aleister
we'll
Crowley would
we'll
fit
talk about
more.
that, but that's
Yeah,
essentially what he's saying. And then later on, this is going to be built into Freud. He's going to say that instead of looking out in the world, right, he's going to look inside and say that the the id is animalistic,
yeah.
irrational, and like so he kind of goes more inside. Um, but that's the thing; it's harsh reality. You're going to see why it leads to pessimism for
Right.
viewers out there. So.
Okay.
And of course,
So,
Cheech agrees because hopefully you'll talk about it because the life experiences. So sometimes sadly, yeah, it is an adult thing. I guess it's kind of like growing up, isn't it, Cheech? Like,
well, yeah. I mean, going through life, you experience the Schopenhauer uh, events. I did, and I told you my story. When something happened to me the second time, this is who I was reading on a honeymoon.
oh yeah, that's
I
good.
was on a honeymoon and I bought a book on Schopenhauer and I was like, yeah, that's where I'm at right now, you
Yeah,
know. But anything else on what I on that first passage
yeah, keep going.
that I wrote? Good, good.
Yeah,
Did I make some sense
yeah,
there?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. The next one, the thing itself. Building on Kant, he identifies the thing itself, the reality behind the appearance of the will. Unlike human facility of choice, this is metaphysical. Will is blind, aimless, striving presence.
That's Schopenhauer's.
Yep, and in everything, in it's blind. Let me say it again. The will is blind, aimless, striving presence in everything from gravity to magnetism to human desire.
Mm.
That is will, Schopenhauer.
Yeah, yeah.
You wanna explain it,
Yeah, yeah.
talk
So
about
he's built. You're gonna have to know the difference between the things in themselves and noumena. Do you know what that is, or
no,
viewers out
say
there?
no, I'm
So
learning.
that's Kant's Copernican revolution philosophy. Like that's what
That's
he
what you
did.
that's what
And
you just described.
yeah, yeah. So what he's saying, like before that, if you read Aristotelian metaphysics, which is amazing too, this was
Oh,
classic.
Aristotle's the king of
Well, he came up
metaphysics.
with it,
Yeah, yeah,
he's probably
yeah,
one of the
yeah.
ones that pushed it. But essentially, what ends up happening here is, and by the way, like one of my favorite philosophers, Saint Thomas Aquinas. He blended Christianity and Aristotelian philosophy and created Thomism
Right.
and built on Aristotle. Uh, But essentially, what you're doing is that what is the relationship between you and the world? And I'm not talking about like you itself, but like you. Like, how do you make sense of the world? Kant's revolution was making this weird, not I was saying weird, but distinction. So he says one is the phenomena. I don't know if I have to
Yeah.
explain that phenomena,
Yeah.
right? So what's out there, right? The phenomena, right?
Yeah.
So I got my wallet here, so this would be phenomena, right? So there's
Right.
something
Right.
that's out in the world. And the thing in itself, noumena. So this is he makes this interesting sort of like differentiation. And noumena, right? And I like that word too, it's a Greek word. Um noumena is sort of like that it's sort of like the knowledge that exists independent of the object itself, like wallet,
Right.
right? The idea of wallet. So I got a wallet,
Uh-huh.
phenomena, and I got the noumena. He makes this distinction. And so
Right.
what my mind does is that it makes sense of
Right.
this object outside time and space inside my head. So that's noumena. And again, it's classic Kantian philosophy.
Right.
And also
It's a
that
little confusing, but it
well,
makes
I'm
sense at
I'm
the same
telling you right
time.
now, if you read Kant, it is challenging because you really have to think about these things. He's talking
Yeah.
about metaphysics, epistemology. So
Yeah.
trying to explain, and this is sort of like before psychology and cognitive science and neuroscience.
Yeah.
This was an attempt to explain um like how do we make sense of the world? So Schopenhauer comes, builds on those ideas, right?
Yeah.
Um, and what ends up happening is, now hopefully I made sense with Numina that it
No,
is
no,
the
it does.
object that
It makes
exists
sense.
independent of human sense. So again, so there's phenomena.
Right.
So he makes this distinction. And by the way, he's building on what like classical philosophy was talking about. So that's really
Yeah.
important. So that's
Socrates, Plato, Aristotle.
right. So that's
Like
like
Socrates, Plato.
right. So that's pretty much the world. And phenomena is an observable event, right? So for example, I'm seeing a wallet, this is phenomena. But then there's the thing in
Yeah.
itself. So the concept of a wallet. So and then that's what my brain uses to make
What
sense.
is it?
Huh? Well, then that
Like
again,
what the wallet is.
right. And again, so our minds make sense of this, right? Um, the thing is with Schopenhauer is that he has this book called The World as Will and Representations. It's probably the one that you buy on your
Yep.
honeymoon. A joke
Yep.
there, but um, he considers what the world is beyond what appears to us, or what Kant was doing already. But this time he goes a little strange. He starts to say, so again, the object in itself and noumena, and he says that the very being. So I'm trying to explain this, but so we have the very being in itself, right? So, for example, this idea of wallet. So the wallet does exist, but then there is a noumena of wallet. There's this idea. So the very idea in all things is will. So essentially,
Yeah.
what's happening is that he says that the empirical world, right, the world that we see, um,
Hmm.
the world is ordered in this, spatio-temporal framework.
Right.
So the world, so the world as thing in itself must exist outside these subjective forms of space and time. You're gonna see
Right.
that we get really like heady here. Um,
Yeah.
and although the world manifests itself to our experience, I hope I'm making sense,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
as a multiplicity of objects, the objectification of the will, right? So again, he's
Right.
trying to make sense of the world here. And what ends up happening is, to go a little further, is eventually though, how does it lead to pessimism? So
Right.
what ends up happening is that uh, so human rationality is merely a secondary phenomena to all this. So your ability to think about these things doesn't matter.
Right.
And again, the world manifests itself to our experience as a multiplicity of objects.
Right.
And each element of this multiplicity has the same blind essence, striving towards existence and life. So that's the world. We are only secondary objects to this will. Hence, the
Right.
world doesn't care about. So yeah. And what ends up happening here is that our human ability to think about these things is just secondary to all this.
Yeah.
And this leads to also this interesting idea that the our advanced cognitive abilities, right? So our ability to think about these things, serves the ends of willing, right? And a logical, directionless, ceaseless striving that condemns the human individual
Oh my
to
God.
a life of suffering, unredeemed by a final purpose. So because of this,
It's insane. It's insane.
yeah.
It-
Yeah, and Schopenhauer's philosophy of the will as the essential reality behind the will as representation is often called metaphysical voluntarism. So that's one of the fancy words for this.
Mhm.
Um, but essentially, again, he's building on what Kant started, and this is his view of the world. So he's saying that so Kant started this conversation between this distinction between the things in themselves and noumena and phenomena, right? So
Yeah.
essentially that what we we construct the world.
Right.
We construct the experience of it.
In our head. Mm.
Yes, yes. So if you read Kant, which is very difficult, but I'm trying to simplify it as
Yeah.
best I can,
Yeah.
without losing our viewers here. But we construct the world, so we matter.
Right.
Schopenhauer says the world doesn't care. The world has its will. The world arranges itself and like so. So for example, the wallet exists. The
Yeah.
wallet doesn't care if I exist, if I die or not. Oh, and then
Right. Right. Right.
and then Schopenhauer goes even a step further in nature, right? So again, the world that we experience, the representation, that's what it's called, the world as representation will, is driven by this blind, irrational, metaphysical force called the will. I attempted to explain this metaphysical force. We're talking about metaphysics is a fundamental reality. Now, Kant says we construct reality. Schopenhauer causes this thing where he says, yes and no. Actually, we're only secondary agents. The world constructs itself. So, see, I'm getting a little, but the point is that where he's heading with this is that he's going to say that the world doesn't care about us. So, no matter what we do, our miserable existence has no meaning to this world. It doesn't matter, right? The wallet doesn't care if you broke up
Mhm.
with your girlfriend or whatever. Like,
Right. 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 Right.
he'll start, obviously, this is a joke, a tongue-in-cheek
No,
joke.
no, I like that because it's non-living. It's a
Right.
thing. It's
And he says that the will,
inanimate, you know?
no, and it's weird, like this, how he describes the world as sort of like this underlying singular and irrational force that drives all existence. So he's saying that there's some sort of force that drives everything, right? Um,
Yeah.
and human desires and actions. For example, he'll say, sex is just about sex at the end of the day. It's just to, make
Yeah.
more life. It really doesn't matter. Love, I mean, who gives? Who gives? According to
Yeah.
him, doesn't matter. No, it's all
Right.
really about spreading your seed and
Yeah.
continuing the wills, this force is and by the way, it's constant, it's unfillable, it's insatiable, right?
Right.
It just goes. We are just secondary agents to this. So because of this, so because the will is insatiable, he's going to say that human life is inherently filled with desire. But now, by the way, listen to these Buddhist concepts and Buddhist answers. So he's going to say that the human life is filled with desire,
Hmm.
lack, and suffering, and
Right.
happiness is merely the temporary absence of pain, right? So he's going to come up with all these ideas,
Hmm.
um, and again, the point is that this is a world of appearances, not ultimate reality as well. The world as we perceive it through our senses is governed by space, time, and causality. But he's going to say and he's actually predating what Hawking will say that the universe doesn't care about you. So that's what he's talking about. Except he's
Right.
trying to explain it. It's going to lead to pessimism.
So let me just get this straight. So I have something that that was amazing, and I'm mind fucked completely.
Yeah,
My
I'm telling
brain
you
is
this.
like
No,
it's like it's so deep, you
no,
know?
it's interesting, and I obviously have my own responses against it because
Yeah.
um
Because you can't think religion when you think about
n-
Schopenhauer.
no, 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 that's the thing. And even Immanuel Kant, now he was religious.
Or,
I think he was a
or
Christian, but
happiness to that degree. You can't really bring
no,
in
no,
happiness.
because he's going to say that the world doesn't care about happiness at the end of the day. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The world just
Yeah.
operates.
Look, I
Go ahead.
I got a point on suffering.
Go.
Source of suffering. the will, I mean, you might have covered it because you covered so much amazing stuff. The will is endless striving, it leads to suffering. Once our desire is satisfied, another immediately takes the place, or we fall into the state of unbearable boredom.
Yep. And it's insatiable. And that's the thing. That's the thing w with us that one of the causes of suffering, for example, is let's say like desire. Or and if you don't, yeah, okay, you fulfill that desire, but then you still want. So
Yeah.
there's that
So he's right
idea.
about that. I think he's right about that for some
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or all people. Like, I mean, like, I don't know, let's just say money.
Mhm.
You know, you make you everyone's desire is greed and they want to make more and they want to make more. This job's not good enough. I have an opportunity to get another job. I'm going to get more. This girl I'm with is hot, but this girl over there is way hotter who likes me. I'm going to go for her. So desire, oh, and then you get the hot girl and what happens? You get bored. That's just.
Right, right. And that's interesting because I wonder if he went through heartbreak or something. Something motivated his philosophy, life or whatever.
Oh, he must have
Um,
got fucked over worse than Brad Delp did
something
and he wasn't
happened. Yeah,
feeling it.
something happened because
But it must be that girl, Marianne. She keeps
I
walking
see
away from
my
Schopenhauer.
Marianne. Yeah, I wonder if Brad Dutt was the Schopenhauer.
Oh, he's
Um,
holy. Well, look, no, he was into Camus. For back. I mean, we
dude,
could break down
poor,
the
poor
philosophy of Brad
sap.
Delp.
Yeah, dude. Um,
And he has some Crowley in there with his twisted sexual fantasies.
Dude,
I mean, God rest his
dude,
soul, the greatest
yo,
singer.
yo. I
God.
see my
And
Marion walking away. And that then becomes the Schopenhauerian.
yeah,
No, but what's interesting is yeah, you're on that point where these ideas of and again, the important thing is that the world as well and our idea, like our relationship to it, I think he called representation.
yeah,
So, and again, it's how we are in space and time. This is like, and this is German philosophy, building on what Kant started, is how we
yeah,
construct the world and our place in the world. And it's funny because what's missing here is God, right? So obviously, we're not even talking about God here. Um,
yeah.
and the will is a blind unconscious, right? It's aimless striving of knowledge. Is really there's no law that governs the will. So that's what he's saying. Like he's trying to explain it. Like there's not really something that, and obviously God is absent here.
It's the complete opposite of Crowley. The complete opposite of Crowley.
It's complete opposite because no matter what you do, doesn't nothing matters. And actually, the only respite or break is the aesthetics art for a brief
Yeah,
moment.
no, no, I'm gonna get
Yeah.
to
No,
that.
good, good, good.
So, determination versus freedom. Man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills. Our actions are free to us. They are actually determined by our fixed intellectual character as a reaction. Oh, wait. As to our reactions. Can't even understand what I'm hearing. So I'll say that again. Man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills. Our actions are free to us as they are actually determined by our fixed intellectual character and reaction. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. And like building on that too, um, and again, you really important. I mean, hopefully we're not losing people, but it's this difference between noumena and phenomena. That's like so
Yeah.
important because Schopenhauer says that one's knowledge of objects is just knowledge of mere phenomena rather than the things in themselves. So we'll never know the things in themselves, no matter what we do. And
Right.
then the thing in itself, the inner essence of everything, he calls that will, a blind unconscious, right? It's aimless striving devoid of knowledge outside of time and space and free of all multiplicity. The world as representation is therefore the objectification of the will, right?
Right.
And what ends up with the thing here is it's kind of funny is the aesthetic experiences sort of like again provide some breathing room from this. Um,
Yeah.
serve it. So it kind of this language he kind of comes out with servitude to the school too. We're kind of like our existence are
Yeah.
kind of lack hope. It's hopeless.
Everything
Um,
is he's the king of pessimism. That's his
yes,
philosophy, you know?
yes, and And he says that aesthetics, art, experiences releases one briefly from one's endless servitude uh, to the will, and then this is the root of suffering.
But
So
also, it's stopping the cycle of desire when you're
yes, well,
doing
that's
these.
where that Buddhist comes in, right? Because once you accept this, and I think one of the things he argued was also the ascetic life. So like, how Buddhist monks do, kind of like that life.
Yeah,
Um, negation of the will to life, right? Negation.
yeah,
But again, this sounds like really sad and like pessimistic. And I
yeah.
honestly do. I don't know if you got anything else you want to keep going, but so the will. Now, what's important? Go ahead, Cheech, and then we'll
I got one more. Yeah, because he's too heavy. We'll be here all night.
yeah.
Um, and then we'll just we'll go to Nietzsche. But like yeah, we'll just go to Nietzsche. Like Nietzsche's easy, right? You know what I mean?
Oh
Like
yeah, compare. Well, it's funny because you wouldn't think like because again, you're entering epistemology. You're
yeah,
entering also because essentially what winds up happening is with Aristotle, right? The Greek philosopher, starting with Plato's cave. Dude, this is what
yeah,
he's talking about. So he thought philosophy was to actually that's a good way of thinking about it. Most people, according to Plato, obviously taught by his mentor and teacher Socrates, says that most
so
people
Socrates.
yeah,
You ever see
these
you ever see Bill and Ted's Big
oh,
Adventure?
Socrates. Yeah, I remember that. According to Socrates,
Yeah,
Socrates. So according to Socrates, like
yeah,
he and Plato, wonderful um parable in the Republic says that most people just look at shadows in a cave. They're in darkness, shadows projected by light. Philosophy takes you out of that. Now, the difference is that if we include Schopenhauer, he says that
you're stuck there.
you're stuck there because the world operates on its own, right? There is no light, there's no enlightenment, none of that. It's just your life in the cave, and it's irrational. Why those shadows appear, who cares? I mean, it doesn't care about you.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
that's so. And then Kant, now Immanuel Kant and David Hume, and again, I will say a little thing. I don't just I it's hard to imagine trying to fight against this argument. It's difficult because it makes
yeah,
sense. Immanuel Kant and David Hume, he's responding to David Hume, um, an inquiry of human understanding, and he skepticism and British
yeah,
skepticism is gonna launch into that. But in Germany, it started this like philosophy revolution. So what started with Plato and Aristotle, then they'll end up rejecting this idea and come up with their own ideas. And we're going to talk about Nietzsche pretty soon,
yeah.
um, but who by the way rejects Plato as well. But yeah, do we agree with this, right? And I guess this is well, before we move on. The Schopenhauerian view of will, like
Yeah.
as
Let
a
me let me let me let me
go,
just bring one more point, and then we'll end Schopenhauer because he's so fucking
go.
heavy and pessimistic. Compassion ethics, right? This is from one of the books I took it
Yep.
from. By recognizing that all beings share the same will, the disconnection between self and other dissolve, leading to empathy and moral action.
Yeah. And it makes sense. And actually, that kind of is similar to what Buddhist thinks about compassion. And this is
Yeah,
fascinating because a lot of people say, for example, now his view of that is interesting. I guess it's like one positive light against this, that
yeah,
that what unites us is our being together and all this. And
yeah,
so,
yeah,
that's why he argues that compassion is a good thing. And this is very similar to what the Buddhists and especially Siddhartha Gautama argue for compassion.
yeah,
Um, that and this is funny, it's arising from the recognition that the separation between individuals is an illusion. So again, so this idea of, but think about it, right? Um, like we create in our world today, we create all these ideas of relationship to one another, right? He's my brother,
yeah.
this is my friend. So all of that, according to this, is an illusion. We're all in the same thing. So
Right.
hence, right? And life is inherently suffering caused by the blind will. So we're together in all this. So feeling one another's suffering as our own, right? It breaks through egoism, and this sounds like Buddhism, and is to offer, and it's the only true moral action. This is at the end of the day, this is what kind of matters in terms of ethics and morality.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But it's a reaction to this world as will.
Okay. So we covered a lot on Schopenhauer. Jeez, you know. So break it down in layman's terms to people that are still with us that are going like, you know, what
Yeah.
the fuck?
Okay, so
He's just the king of pessimism. He's a
yeah,
pes. There's nothing positive in his philosophy, in his will. Like, is there any
the human condition
why?
is very pessimistic
Why
about
would
it.
somebody want his to study have his view of the will compared to Nietzsche's will to power, Crowley's do what thy will?
Right. Well, first things first, his influence on German philosophy. So what ends up happening is that he's first of all, he was influenced by the greats, so Plato, Kant, and actually Eastern philosophy, Buddhism, and
Yeah,
Upanishads, right? So a little bit of religion in there, but he kind of what he does is he takes it and like puts philosophical language to it. But what ends up happening is that he will have major influence on German thinking.
yeah.
So, for example, we're going to talk about him next. Friedrich Nietzsche will have an influence. Sigmund
But
Freud,
but now he influenced Nietzsche, but Nietzsche disagreed with him on a lot of stuff too, from what I was reading.
most likely, but either way, he was influenced by
Oh,
Schopenhauer.
oh, definitely influenced,
Right?
definitely. Yeah,
And he'll coin the term instead of saying this idea of um this idea of the world as will, he's gonna say the will to power, but that's how that will get there. Sigmund Freud, the psychologist, major influence. So the concepts of an irrational, like irrational, blind driving force kind of foreshadows the psychoanalytic theory of how the blind, irrational force of the id. So instead of
yeah.
looking at it out there, Sigmund Freud put it inside of you and
Right,
try to
right,
explain the world through your unconscious desires.
right.
Richard Wagner was influenced by um, Schopenhauer, um, and also, it's kind of interesting. His theories on music as a direct expression of the will influenced by his later operas. And actually, Nietzsche loved Wagner by
Yeah.
Wagnerian operas. And literature and philosophy, you got influence on Leo Tolstoy, Thomas Mann, Marcel Proust, Jorge Luis Borges, and Ludwig Wittgenstein. Another,
Wittgenstein. Yeah,
but
yeah.
he's a philosopher of language. He's going to do something kind of interesting with language.
Right.
In his Tractatus Philosophicus. But that's the thing. He has an influence on German thinking. That's
Yeah.
and why would someone want to read this is because first hates himself. So wants to come up with an idea why the world hates him, or like so for somebody that hates religion as well, because
Right, right.
God is not in here, right?
No,
Because he's
no.
saying he's trying to explain this like universe,
There's
and
no light. There's no light in there.
no, and I'll be honest with you, he wasn't a popular philosopher, he wasn't a popular fellow as well.
Yeah,
Um,
I think when I got into him, there was no light in my life at that time.
well, no, and he speaks to you,
When I bought his book, it really spoke to me, especially forget all the pessimism, but the music thing. No matter what you're feeling, art and music can change you in a second.
right? And it offers you, man, but here's the key thing: temporary. Now I kind of disagree with that. I think
Yeah,
music speaks to the soul, and I'm more Aristotelian in my thinking, but
yeah.
and more obviously theological. But yeah, the aesthetics would definitely spoke to you because he says that art is transcendence. It actually could transcend this because I don't know if you know if you have any in your notes why.
Why art transcends it?
Mhm.
I think because, well, what would he feel about your soul? What did Schopenhauer feel about the soul? Now we're talking about the will, but the soul, because music goes right to the soul, and it makes you feel a certain way, happy,
Yeah,
sad.
that's funny. I don't think he believed in the soul.
Oh shit,
I don't
really?
think he
Because he didn't
did.
believe in God. He didn't believe in God.
Well, you know what's
So then
fun?
where's music going then? To your brain? You know, it's like auditory brain.
Well, and again, he's predating a lot of this stuff. So I guess to give him credit though, he is predating all a lot of stuff that's going to be in the psych world and this discoveries of neuroscience and all that. But what's really interesting is that with his idea, and this is called aesthetics, right? So
Yeah.
ideas of what makes something beautiful and whatever. But art, according to Schopenhauer, so provides essential knowledge, right? And you'll like the base plane of the world's objects. So it's like
Yeah.
you're understanding the world's objects and you're attempting to.
Well, how I got turned on to Schopenhauer was the bass player Billy Sheehan. He quoted
Mm,
him
never go. What do you
with
call?
the
What did
art
he quote?
thing. I don't remember. I just seen it, and I was like Schopenhauer, Billy Sheehan,
Yeah,
and I went, and then this is on my adventure at that time in my past life, and that's how I got into it. But I guess in the end, his will is going to be very, I'm going to keep saying pessimism.
yeah,
That's it. He's
yeah.
the king of pessimism. To end this segment, Schopenhauer is not going to give you much hope. He's not going to give you much light on the will. It's
Nah.
just like things are what they are, and that's how it is, and it's not going to change.
Yeah, and then like you, the only escape is music because music is
Exactly.
a direct expression of the will, not the soul. So it's like you're expressing yourself and trying to make order of this irrational force. So that's why he said
Right.
music. Actually, I think he considers music as the highest
Yeah,
form.
yeah. He did. He
Um,
did. Yeah.
and again, the key word is temporary, though. I mean, it's not,
Yeah.
you know,
So
it,
there's not much positivity in his will, opposed to where we're going to go in Nietzsche. There is some
no,
positivity there.
no, and it's like his idea of will, again, like we're just representation, we're just representatives of the irrational will that the
Yeah.
world is, right?
Yeah.
And I put it in simplistic terms.
Yeah.
And music, like when you play bass, you're attempting to express your will. And this time, instead, you are attempting to craft order, right? Attempting,
Right.
that's the key word. So
Yeah.
when
Yeah. Yeah.
you can get lost in bass playing just for a
Yeah.
moment,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
then
Yeah. Yeah.
but then afterwards you go back to your crappy marriage or whatever, like or
Yeah.
horrible temple job, and you're like, oh,
Yeah,
the world is
exactly. It's like you have a great gig. It's a great example, and I'll use it. I have a great show at Potter's Field. Shout out to my brothers. And then on the ride home, we're psyched. We're listening to it. Jump in bed. 6 hours later, alarm comes off. Got to go to that unconditioned will to put Crowley in there, the temple. And this is what Schopenhauer is talking about. What music does. I was temporarily happy. And now I have to go somewhere that's going to make me unhappy for 8 hours
right, right,
around
right,
people that make you unhappy for eight
right,
hours.
right. And think
So that's
about
a
what the
good,
and think about the Buddhist, and obviously he was very influenced by Eastern ideas.
which is odd because Buddhism is there's some joy in there. There's not joy. It's about suffering. I get the suffering. There's the
Right, right. Well,
suffering.
Buddhism, the only difference in Buddhism that there's no God, and the goal of life for the Buddhists, especially on different levels, is nirvana and
Yeah.
extinguishing like a candle, just going away, just
But
accepting.
if you get nirvana, that's the highest level. You're going to be happy.
Right, and that requires like this interesting eightfold path that the Buddha apparently
Yeah.
achieved. He was
Yeah.
trying to alleviate the world suffering, but it had these
Yeah.
ideas. Desire. So when you desires is a problem in terms
Yeah.
of leading you to suffering. Um, Now the world though for the Buddha is not as pessimistic as Schopenhauer. Schopenhauer
Yeah.
took it to another level.
He
So
just took the suffering part and he,
I
and
will
he
say,
threw away
but
all the other good Buddha stuff.
any
Yeah.
person that's like suicidal will definitely just like jump upon hearing this because yeah,
Yeah. I don't, yeah.
I don't agree with it because God is in the picture, especially for you. God, now this is classic, like in a way, it could be Buddhist philosophy, atheistic philosophy for sure.
Yeah, my boy Saint Anthony.
Yo, my
That's
boy
just,
Saint
yeah.
Anthony, yeah. No, the difference is that, in my opinion, I kind of like go against it because God is in the picture, and actually God is order.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
God provides the order of the world. He pushes. He is the prime mover, to quote a Rush song. He is the prime mover. And
Exactly. Yeah.
Aristotle. and
Yeah.
and for him, he does care about you. That's why in Christianity, Jesus, he sent his one and only son so that you can have a purpose and come back to him, because otherwise you're lost. So he's right.
Yes.
Schopenhauer's right. Actually, the world that's irrational is the devil's world, because the
Right.
devil doesn't want you to experience. So, and if anything, Schopenhauer is very Luciferian. Now, the devil, I always argue, is a musician. Why? Because, again, when you think about it, is, one of the ways that you bring people to you is music. But you gotta be
Well,
careful because, the wrong
that's why
music.
Lucifer got lost his day job.
Oh, well, that's what I'm saying. He became a rock star. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But what ends up happening, let me give you an example. There's a legend. This legend is fascinating. Whether or not it's true, it is fascinating. Nero burned Rome and blamed the Christians, and he was a great fiddle player. So he was playing the fiddle while this is a classic image of the
Yeah.
Luciferian, intellect and will as well. So Schopenhauer is very Luciferian. So that's why I'm kind of careful here because again, he
Now, I wonder if the dark side people have studied Schopenhauer. And
uh
you have to, I don't know any of them, but I'd love to, like,
I
if
would
you are on the
suspect,
dark side, let
yeah,
us know, in our
I would
comments.
suspect that yes, because and again, it's not saying now Schopenhauer's not saying that the world is evil. He's saying that the world is just it is what it is. It's irrational. It doesn't even there's not even
Yeah.
a question of morality here, but the thing is like from a light and dark side perspective. Um
Well, we know somebody who did study him.
yes.
Johnny
Yes, yes.
Rotten
Oh,
wrote about him.
punk is all about this. Yeah, punk is all
Yeah,
about,
yeah.
the world doesn't care,
And not to give it away, that's in an episode we did the
Yes, yes,
philosophy of
yes,
punk, and Schopenhauer's
yes,
all over it.
yes.
He's all
Well,
over it. This is just breaking down his philosophy.
and for me, psychologically, this philosophy is dangerous because it'll drive someone, if someone believes in this philosophy, I mean, it'll drive someone to suicide or
Yeah,
worse, Obviously, Schopenhauer was a pessimist. I'm more of an optimist. Um, I think life is good if you will it, right? So in other words, like if you think life is good, life will be good. If you don't think
yeah,
life is good and you think there's some irrational force that doesn't care
right.
about you, for me, it's
Right.
kind of funny in CBT world, in the cognitive behavioral therapy world, they're going to say that's a cognitive distortion. So,
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting there, because you can easily flip the script here. And also, he's building on Immanuel Kant. Now, I think Immanuel Kant is brilliant.
yeah,
Perfect. I'm not sure. I have my own griefs with Immanuel Kant,
right.
and David Hume too. Um, I'm more in line of the Aristotelian view as well,
Yeah,
which
metaphysical,
that's a whole nother
more
episode in
happiness. Yeah.
itself. Yeah, but
So
yeah,
basically, he's a Debbie Downer, Schopenhauer.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
He's a-
and the only respite is music. So you and I can agree with that. Now,
yeah.
would he have liked rock or punk? I'm not sure. Probably not. If I
You
had to
don't think
take,
he would like punk
I
because of
don't
the anti-establishment, the
know.
anger?
I don't think so. No, but it's funny he inspires punk though. But I don't think
Yeah,
he would have liked it. Now think about it. He inspired like Wagner and Nietzsche will love this too. And you think about he would obviously in this aesthetic philosophical theory, I think will sort of think about which is the highest music that will, that's the most ordered. Mozart's symphonies, right? Is an example
yeah.
or
They're
whatever
happy. They're yeah, yeah,
Or Wagnerian opera.
yeah,
With Nietzsche will say Nietzsche when he thought that the ideal was a Wagner composition or opera, and that's a whole nother thing there. But yeah, so would he even liked rock and punk? I'm not sure, but if you looked at Johnny Ryan and Johnny Ryan was like, "Hey, Schopenhauer, I'm your son," like
yeah, yeah.
we're like, yeah, I don't know about this, and he
Now,
himself was such a, and Schopenhauer was such a hater, he was such a pessimist. So.
now, I'm not going to mention his name because I hate saying his name, but we know Nietzsche inspired him. That other German guy in the 40s, okay, who did some bad stuff. Do you think Schopenhauer was influencing him? You know, the guy with the little mustache?
Heidegger?
No, Hitler.
Oh, Hitler. Oh, dude.
I don't know, I
Uh,
hate saying the name.
dude.
I don't want people
I thought
to,
you think of
think.
Heidegger, which was the country. Dude,
No,
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 no.
no.
Hitler is smart, dude. There is no doubt in my mind that he would have encountered the ideas of of Schopenhauer and
Yeah.
probably held him to one of the highest German thinkers because it was German nationalism and pride. So for sure, yeah.
Right. Right. So, okay. On that note, it's up to you if you want to study Schopenhauer's will. I did for a little bit, but I was in a really bad
I'm surprised
place.
you're here with us.
I know, but I got out of that situation. So,
And I will say, Cheech, when you read Schopenhauer, it spoke to you, right?
well, because the place I was in, my best friend Dave Torrey had passed away. Okay, a couple months before that, I got involved in a situation, a marriage that I did not want to be in, and just personal. And I was on a honeymoon, and I felt like I was living the Schopenhauer life, and
the
I was
world,
reading
yeah,
books
the
on it,
world is so irrational around you.
and I was like, I can't get out now. I'm stuck. But God intervened not in a good way, but he somehow got me out. He got me
Right.
out.
Oh, and in your point, God exists in your so even though you read
Oh
Schopenhauer,
yeah.
I feel like if
If
there
I
was
was
no
with Scho,
God, you would have
I
pulled a
would
Kirk
still be in
Cobain.
there. Yeah, or did that. Yeah, yeah. You know.
Right.
But anyway, let's
That
get a little positive on that.
let's get
Next.
positive.
I don't know how positive Nietzsche is, but
Nietzsche,
he's
the
a little
famous
bit,
Friedrich
little more.
Nietzsche. Yeah.
So Nietzsche, will to power. Um, so fans that are with us, we're not
You lost
taking,
like half of them already.
we're not dropping LSD. We're not, we're
No,
what we're
no, no,
doing.
I'm trying. Yeah, it sounds like it's kind of funny. It sounds like I'm dropping LSD or something. Like I'm not.
Like the Cheech and Manny show is a show, and we want to teach people about philosophers.
Right, right.
And this show is about will, and we want to compare
And this is the
the
esoteric
will.
hour. Now, Cheech, I don't know. Do you want to do
Yeah.
like a separate? This is like the Schopenhauer episode. Do you want to do another Nietzsche or
Um,
together?
we could do it. Let's do them together because I have a nice comparison
Okay, okay, and
of the two.
we'll end there because I think that's a great. And we'll do a part.
Yeah.
By the way, we're gonna do a weekly series, or we'll try to do a weekly series, or part of our show run, the esoteric hour, which we talk.
Yes.
Even though it's not really esoteric, but it does, um, because then we're gonna have a discussion on the will, and this is gonna
Yeah.
be interesting. So yeah.
Well, we're comparing wills. So now we know Schopenhauer's will, pessimism. We'll just say pessimism,
No
right? Which
pessimism, yeah,
is that's so
and the
for the
world
layman.
is will. You don't really have one. You're just somebody that represents in that will.
Okay. Nietzsche's will to power, a core psychological, biological, and sometimes metaphysical principle that explains all human behavior and the nature of the universe itself. He was influenced by Schopenhauer, but he rejected his mentor's pessimistic conclusion
Hmm.
that the will is something denied. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah. Because again, like we said, um, the world is the will. So there's a denial of yourself because we're just participating in it, right?
Right. Okay. On to my next point. Key concepts of will to power.
Oh, and
Stri-
it's funny. And one more thing before I forget, Nietzsche
yeah.
is more life affirming, believe it or
Yeah.
not. Rather
Well,
than
but he suffered that guy suffered.
well, you know what's funny? It's because well, he suffered. There's a lot of theories. I have my own personal theory. He lived his philosophy, but that death of God brought him to
Yeah.
whose hands? Lucifer.
Yeah.
That's what it
God's
sounds like.
stick to society killed him. Yeah.
Right, right. But he's more, yeah, he's more um now I will say he definitely just one more thing on Schopenhauer. He definitely adopted that view of a blind, striving, fundamental reality, but he didn't call that the will. We need to conquer this. So we conquer the world. And that's gonna be
Right. Right.
going where you're gonna talk about will to power.
Right.
Where it's definitely in, I know a lot of people, I don't think they agree with this, but definitely an influence on the Nazis because I feel like they definitely were like, we're gonna conquer the world.
Oh yeah, yeah. Hitler.
Uh-huh.
He had a huge. People are gonna think we're fucking into Hitler, but Nietzsche definitely influenced Hitler, and to a big degree.
Yeah, I
I
know
think.
a lot of philosophers or people say no or try to argue not really, like he misuses philosophy.
Well, his sister brought the work
Right,
to
right. And it's
him.
actually
Yeah,
fascinating that famous picture where he's sort of like standing like that with the big mustache.
yeah, yeah,
Sister took photos of that, but he was already
yeah,
mentally ill.
yeah. He
So
was.
it was a
Yeah,
picture of a mentally ill person. Yeah. And it's been argued that Nietzsche's philosophy made him kind of mentally ill. So,
crazy. So be careful. But we're about to give you some knowledge.
sure.
Key concepts of will to power. Striving for overcoming, unlike Schopenhauer's will to live, which follows on survival. The will to power is an active drive to expand and overcome, to grow, to basically, to become a better human being. Does that make any sense?
We say it again? Like that last part?
So, striving for overcoming, striving for overcoming, unlike Schopenhauer's will to live, it, it's about survival. The will to power is an active drive to expand and overcome and grow and become a better person.
Hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know a better well, yeah, like that better person. Um,
Or a better self. Let's
Ubermensch,
just say, oof, yeah,
the Ubermensch. Yeah, this is the man that conquers the will. And this is the will to
right.
power. So for
So
example, like the will
am I
isn't,
right? Am I right on that? Did I get that
yeah,
concept?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So you want
Uh,
to explain more about that, like the
yeah, so
Uber?
yeah. So in Nietzsche's philosophy, again, he is sort of like it's funny to read him is also another interesting idea. His thinking is very dangerous in that it sounds, first of all, he destroys Christianity.
Yeah,
That famous and thus spoke Zarathustra,
yeah.
which I think he thought was going to become like the new Bible. So, the death of God, and we killed him, right? But the death of God is not celebratory. It's actually a sort of an a weak tragedy. So, what do we do? Because once you, and again, now Schopenhauer didn't jump that far. He
No,
argued that the world is irrational. And obviously, he didn't have to say there's no God. It's just that, you know,
yeah,
the world, yeah, there is some stuff here that, but it's insatiable, right? It's the world as well. Now, for Nietzsche, he set out to reconstruct humanity's um, will. And one of the first things is that he thought that Christianity made us slaves, like we had this slave mentality.
yeah,
And so he needed to kill God. He does so. And then now the Ubermensch must rise and build on that and create something greater
right.
beyond good and evil, right? So he also said, in a way, I'm trying to simplify this, that in Christianity, we made these categories of good and evil.
Hmm.
Also rejected Plato and Aristotle and the Greek philosophers, not all of them, but um, he rejected them in that he's saying that, all this, obsession with reason and whatever. No, no, it's the body. And we're gonna like, we're gonna
Yeah, the
create
Uberman.
we're,
Yeah,
we're gonna recreate ourselves. We're gonna conquer the will, right?
yeah,
The will to power. The person that does this is the greatest person. If you can't, you're gonna get crushed by the will to power. I mean, that kind of sounds like what the Nazis will end up adopting, right? Like,
exactly.
so that's
Yeah.
what ends up happening here. And yeah, really, dude, one of the highest German writers. His writing was immaculate. Uh, and if you choose not to be a master Ubermensch, you are a slave. You got that slave morality. Both,
Hmm.
both you and I with Christianity. He's saying like these ideas of pity
But
and,
his thing is like we're slaves to God.
well, it's not that we're slaves to God. First of all, he doesn't think God exists.
Right,
So
right,
what
right.
he's saying is that our world, the world that he was living in, is constructed by Christianity. This idea of Christian good and evil. So first he set out to destroy Christianity, and then he set out. Now, by the way, you have this idea of Dionysus versus Apollo. He's Dionysus, going back to our episode on hemispheres. He's
Right, right.
Dionysus and with the body. And this is why the expression of the arts was such a great thing for him. The
Yeah.
expression of the highest arts is the expression of the Ubermensch, the will to
Right,
power.
right.
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 So it's life affirming, and we are going to construct humanity now. What that is, I think, in the 21st century is nothing but disastrous. Um, because people live this philosophy, we're seeing the consequences of it today. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but one area
Right,
that you
right.
can see it is that when it is expressed, it just causes suffering and human misery on levels that I don't think Nietzsche was able to see. And again, he saw the death of God as a tragedy, nothing to
Yeah.
celebrate. And
Right.
in his Thus Spoke Zarathustra, and again, he thought that he was successful in eliminating Christianity, and he thought that thus, and I think I read this somewhere, or it might be my own idea, but Thus Spoke Zarathustra, he was going to take as the new Bible that
Yeah.
kids are going to read it as gospel, like. And this time though, but it's a tragedy. So what do we
Yeah.
do? What do we do? We reconstruct ourselves, right? And this
Right.
is how you come up with the idea of the Ubermensch. And the Ubermensch is, I think it translates to superhuman overman, and it's an ideal individual. He overcomes human mediocrity. So we're not, for example, you turn in this, dog poop. Nah, not good enough. That
Yeah.
you're tossed away. The one that turns in like um like Venus de Milo or whatever. This way the arts is actually for him is really important.
Right.
Creates their own values. So through this, you're also creating your own values. The only
Hmm.
problem in practice, why do you think this is problematic when you create your own values?
Well, you create your own values. You expect high expectations.
So that could be a value. But let's say someone doesn't reach your expectations. What do we do about them? According to Nietzsche,
We
put on your Nietzsche's hat.
we say them to fuck off.
Well, what did
Go
Hitler do?
away.
What did Hitler do?
No, no, I'm
Right?
not
No, no,
going
no,
there.
no, no. I'm
No.
saying no, I'm saying that's the end result
Yeah.
of living this philosophy because, yeah, mediocrity,
That's
not
it.
the,
But Hitler is like the worst. He took it and he made it. You could kind of take that. Okay, say that again. Say that we what you
so
just said.
overcoming human mediocrity. So let's say you do turn in mediocrity, and let's think about this because according to Nietzsche, and this is where he does have an interesting point here. Um, in and actually you see and again depending on who you ask you see it expressed in movies like Whiplash where I'm sure you've seen Whiplash, right? um so going back to like this Ubermensch,
Whiplash. You
Whiplash the
want to talk
movie.
about Whiplash?
So in Whiplash, um Fletcher tortures the poor kid, but he
Yeah,
wants to create the new Charlie Parker. He's not settling for mediocrity. See, that's the end
yeah,
result of that philosophy, right?
yeah, yeah.
One expression. Um, the problem is in how people express this, because we would assume now Nietzsche placed a value on the high arts, but without going into too much details today, do the high arts exist? And what people place as highest? Can it be argued that it's mediocrity? I'm not sure. I'm not gonna go there. But the
But
point is,
it's a good point.
But
It's a
the
good
point
point.
is, but the point is going back also to this idea of um, Rush was so brilliant on hemispheres because that's what they talk about, reason versus passion. Now he put body and passion first, right?
Yeah,
We, and he also said that just because you can use your intellect, that is overcompensating for the strong, for the
right,
beautiful, for the people
right.
that are able to create. So critics, Nietzsche would scoff at.
Yeah.
Um, and going back to the greatest music, the obsession, the torture, the pain creates the best music
Beethoven.
because no mediocrity allowed it. And by the way, Nietzsche,
Another
no,
German. Beethoven.
yes, yes, and Nietzsche would technically excuse the person's behavior because because morality, who cares? This
Yeah,
person is reconstructing, and he wanted all of us to be Ubermenches. The
right.
consequence is how this is expressed. So, and without going too much detail, today we're not living no Ubermensch. Not
No.
even. The goal in music.
Well, are we?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't
We
know.
won't we won't go there,
Uh,
but
and
maybe
and
to
this is the will to power, but the music with you
some
will
people
keep
might
you.
think we are.
Yes, but that's why you get so mad because your idea of music is high. So when you see
Yeah.
mediocrity, right, you're
Right.
saying
Right.
this is the bar low. You reconstruct yourself through your base,
Yeah.
your obsession, your sacrifices. You sacrifice love. I'm just speaking poetically, but you sacrifice
Yeah.
love, marriage, money, um,
Right.
to be the greatest. This is the theme of Whiplash, the movie
Yeah.
where he is willing to be tortured by Fletcher, who is his own Ubermensch, who wants to create the next Charlie Parker. And he says that the two, one of the worst and one of the great speeches in the movie is one of the worst phrases in the human language. This, according to him, is saying good job to somebody. No, not good enough. All right.
So what was Fletcher? Would he be
He would be an
Schopenhauer
Ubermensch,
or
his own
Nietzsche?
Ubermensch, and he would be Nietzsche. He's trying to create, and he doesn't care if he throws something at you or says
Yeah.
awful curses at you. He's
Yeah.
beyond good and evil. According,
Yeah.
and again, he's in a way living the chain philosophy.
Right. Right.
I have so much critiques.
That's a great analogy. Oh
No,
my God, you just blew
yeah,
my
yeah, I
mind.
love that movie, and I've been thinking about this. I'm loving how we're doing this on the show right now.
And I had a teacher like that at the
Mhm.
Westchester Conservatory who
Mhm.
I told you I got revenge on. Not in a bad way, but I took away his students 30 years later.
There, there we go.
After he said I sucked because
There we go.
I couldn't sight read
Yeah,
Domenico Dragonetti.
there we go.
Anyway, let me just throw something else.
And I'll say, and just think that's the will to power. That's a different type of will. This is the will to power. Your will to power.
So self mastery, power as self overcoming rather than political domination over others, is the drive to master one's own instincts and realize one's highest potential. That's Fletcher.
That's Fletcher.
So that you already
Or
you were ahead of
anybody,
me on that.
anybody that is obsessive, that's sacrificed. And usually this person will tell you again, they're beyond good and evil. So if you concern yourselves with morality, Nietzsche would say that you have a slave mentality. That's what
Right.
he would say. And he called Jesus like, he would call him the worst person. He even said that because of Jesus, it robbed us of one of the greatest philosophers in Blaise Pascal, who got this Christian, I don't know if you know Blaise Pascal, Pascal's
No,
Wager.
yeah, I heard of him. I never studied him or
Nietzsche,
anything.
in one of his books, says it's tragedy what Jesus did to him. Now, I don't agree with this,
That's
but
crazy.
Pascal, 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 in one of his he wrote Pensar. I think that's French. I think that's unpronounced.
Yeah,
Thoughts. He had this interesting mystical Christian experience that changed his life. Before that, he was insane mathematician and
yeah,
was doing crazy things with probability and calculus. But then he became obsessed with Christ and started like anyway. So Nietzsche said, "Man, like Jesus robbed us of like another." So kind of weird how he. And again, his philosophy is very. Fletcher is like Lucifer in the skin, like like what I
yeah,
mean, like
yeah.
very
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Luciferian.
yeah.
And I don't know what you think about it. This is a goodwill for you, or
Oh, I hate Fletcher because, like I said, I
so
lived
you would
it.
hate you would hate Nietzsche and Cheech. You remind me of more compassionate. You're compassionate.
Yeah, Buddhism, Lao
You're
Tzu.
also willing to like I don't think you don't get enough credit for this. Talk about music and even music that you may not like, but you will appreciate for what it is.
Oh, of course. I consider myself. I was gonna go, if I wasn't gonna be a performer, for musicology,
Mhm,
and I've talked about this on the show, the study of music and how it affects culture.
mhm.
And now is a great example of
Yes,
that.
yes.
The world we're living in, and it's an interesting thing that's going on, how that works.
Mhm.
you know. But let me just one more affirming affirmation of suffering. Resistance and pain are not evils to be avoided, as Schopenhauer claimed, but necessary conditions for you to increase of the power. What is happiness? The feeling that the power increases, that resistance is overcome. Uh, that it? Yeah, that resistance is overcome. I don't know if I made sense. Want to read
Yeah,
it again?
yeah. No, no, no. You made total sense that suffering is unavoidable. You can't escape it, right? Can't
Yeah.
escape it. But rather than avoiding the pain, you should overcome and embrace it. Part of your Ubermenschness that's
And
gonna be
where's the
you.
will? Where's the will in there to overcome the
And actually,
pain?
I think no, and I think like ever heard that expression, what does not kill me makes you
Makes me
stronger.
strong.
That's pretty much Nietzsche's idea of this. A very kind of life affirming. So
Now that's the epitome of his philosophy on the will.
I would say so, yeah. So if it doesn't kill you, you keep going. But
What?
at the same time, um, if you can't handle it and commit suicide, Nietzsche's gonna say, well, you're not Ubermensch.
So he was like Camus in that sense, where
No,
you
no,
could,
Camus was more
no, as far as
compassionate.
the suicide, as far as like the
No, no,
ultimate.
no, 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 I'm putting words in his mouth. No,
Oh,
no, I'm
oh, oh,
saying
oh,
like
okay, okay,
an
okay, okay.
example, back to the Whiplash movie, which I'm totally obsessed with. But
Yeah, yeah.
Whiplash,
I,
within the film, poor our main character is put through trauma, anxiety, fear. He becomes obsessive to the point where it's unhealthy. One of the scenes is his hands is bleeding while he's trying to drum these patterns, these
I
impossible.
related to that so much in
Impossible. You
that
would
scene.
know there's impossible. He's like, and the scene when he goes like, all right, go, go. At first, you see Fletcher's compassionate. Oh,
Yeah.
once more, and he starts clapping like that,
Not my
and,
time.
and he goes like, not my tempo. Like he just starts like, and then in an attempt to, um, meet his standards, his
Yeah,
Ubermenchian standards, he starts to
yeah,
drum, like, bleeding, and to the point he gets
yeah.
ice trying to numb. Anyway, in one another scene, it turns out that one of Fletcher's former students sadly committed suicide. Now, Fletcher
Right.
shows some sadness, but he leaves out. He says car crash. We later find out that he committed suicide because of this torture and anxiety that
Yeah.
Fletcher put him through. Now, Nietzsche would say that our main character is the Ubermensch. This dude, who cares? He failed,
Right.
and what killed him, killed him. What didn't kill our character made him stronger. Again,
Because
I'm not
well,
saying I agree.
it makes sense because the kid
I'm
had
trying
the
to explain.
will.
Now, by the way, and there are viewers out there. No, no, I'm not saying that I agree with this, disagree. This is what
Right, right.
Nietzsche is saying.
And using that movie, Whiplash, is a great example of Nietzsche. That's a that is genius, Manny. I
Yeah.
love
A-
that, you know?
And one more thing on Whiplash. It turns out, and I think this is true, that Charlie Parker turned out to be, sadly, in the end, heroin user, died in
Was
destitution.
in a mental hospital. Yeah, very
Right, but our
sad.
main character says, but he's going to be remembered forever because of his music. All right.
Yeah, that's
So
a kid.
again,
Yeah,
obviously he went through a lot of things that could have killed him.
yeah.
Well, he came out stronger. And actually, one more great example, because I've been listening to him, is John Coltrane also. Another,
Another one. Yeah,
poor dude, a lot of things, but came out stronger and then
yeah,
eventually released one of my favorite albums, I Love Supreme, but this time a religious meditation. So
yeah.
anyway.
And and what I love, what was the kid's name in Fletcher?
No, that's the teacher. The kid, let me
Uh,
see.
uh, uh, um, yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. I forget his name, but
No, this is okay, good.
I could relate to the kid because the kid ended up getting revenge on Fletcher,
Yep,
and he won. He won.
yep.
Just like in my story, I had a evil bass teacher. I won't say his name.
Oh, Andrew,
Who
by the way, the kid's name is Andrew Neiman.
Andrew
Neiman. He
Neiman.
calls him Neiman.
I had an evil bass teacher at the Westchester Conservatory of Music my first year. I'm an 18-year-old Cheech going in, and and I studied with this guy before that. I won a scholarship, and the guy was horrible. He was about 70 years old and at the time. I had a Jocko t-shirt on, and he said, "Why do you like that guy? That's acid rock music." And I was like, "Dude," and I was a shy kid. I'm like, "Why are you putting down Jocko? He's the greatest bass player of all time." And the guy's looking at me, "What are you talking about?" So he puts this Domenico Dragonetti piece in front of me. You know who that is? Domenico Dragonetti is Beethoven's bass player. 1,000 notes, like Black Page by Zappa. I'm barely playing through it. He goes, "You're never gonna make it." And I was like, well, "Fuck this guy." So I walk out of there. I'm the kid, you know. So as the weeks go on, I see other kids coming out crying as I'm waiting to go in there. So finally, we went to the dean, and we said, "This guy's too much." And the dean said, "We know. We're trying to get rid of him." So that year, the next year, I got a phone call. We got this amazing. They fired the guy, and we got this amazing teacher named Paul Adamy, who's a famous, studio guy. So go to the future. 20 years later, I get a phone call from a guy I used to teach his daughter. He's like, "I want to take bass lessons with you. I don't like my bass teacher. It's really giving me a hard time." And I said, "Well, why? Who is he?" And I won't say the guy's name, but it was that my teacher from college. And he goes, "I want to study with you." So I end up taking one of his students. Now that 18-year-old Cheech who walked out of there because he couldn't read Domenico Dragonetti took this guy's student 30 years later. Isn't that crazy?
Very
So
similar. Yeah, very similar ending to that.
so I got back
Yeah.
at the guy. I don't suck, dude, because I can't read Domenico
Yeah.
Dragonetti note for note, and there's other
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
and he literally made
That
kids
that's
cry.
no that well that's
And,
and he's living. He's it's funny. He's a mix of Schopenhauer and Nietzsche.
and my thing was, I learned he was the best teacher I ever had. This guy. Do you want to know why? Because that's the way I never want to teach. And I've had
Mm,
so many bass students. I want to give the kid who's barely playing and trying. I'm going to be like, "Great job. Keep up the hard work. You're doing good." I'm
mm,
not going to be like, "You're not doing good. You're not practicing. This is horrible. Maybe you should give it up." Do you imagine saying that to somebody who loves an
mm,
instrument, but they're not getting it right away?
mm.
So that was the best teacher I
And
ever
that's
had.
Fletcher and Whiplash.
Yeah, because I learned not well. The best teacher I ever had was Marshall Topol. That was because he was all positive and great. He's my
Mm,
main influence in life of music, but I did not want to be that guy, that
mm.
teacher, that negative
No, and that's
Schopenhauer.
and you offered the most wonderful critique of Nietzsche because he makes no room for compassion.
Yeah,
At least Schopenhauer did in our togetherness against the world as well. Um, but Nietzsche viewed compassion as looking at the genealogy of morals here. He looked at compassion as sort of like a consequence of Christianity. That it's for the weak. It's a slave mentality kind of thing.
yeah.
But again, that's a great critique of Nietzsche, and ultimately why it's interesting. I don't know. We agree with Nietzsche's will to power philosophy. Obviously, in music, for us, and you, because you're the musician, I guess I would be a musicologist, I guess, because I like to talk
You
about
are.
music.
You're definitely a
Yeah.
musicologist and a
Um,
philosopher because you're
uh,
blowing my mind away with this, man. Blowing
Thanks,
my
man.
mind.
Like, yeah, so yeah, anyway.
Oh, the last one before I could get to comparisons, but I don't even know. This is a tough one. Affirmation and suffering, resist, resistance and pain are not evils to be avoided. Or did I just do this one? No.
I'm not sure. Oh, read it. Let's see.
Okay. As Schopenhauer claimed, but necessary conditions. So, resistance and pain are not evils to be avoided, as Schopenhauer claimed, but necessary conditions for the increase of power.
Yep. Whatever doesn't kill you will make you stronger.
And what is happiness that feels that power increases?
Yep.
Okay.
That's right.
Um, okay. So, Nietzsche. Last one, and then I have just some comparisons. People channel this raw force, the will, into creative activities like philosophy and self-discipline and art. How do you feel about that? This is Nietzsche's will.
Hmm. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now remember, everybody, we're giving you lessons about. Well, Manny's giving you lessons about philosophies of these guys, and the main concept here, if you're still with us and you're not like your brain is all over the walls in your
I know.
room.
I know.
Yeah. It's basically the will. we're
Yep.
comparing Schopenhauer's will to
Yeah.
Nietzsche's will. Now I have comparisons. So, Schopenhauer, the will to live versus the will to power. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
You want to, layman's terms, explain that?
Yeah. So for Schopenhauer, um, I don't think there's a will that exists for him. I just think that we're just, you know, people and that the will is real, we're just representatives versus Nietzsche saying, yes, could be that the will is irrational, but we construct our wills in the Ubermensch.
Okay. Schopenhauer, survival and reproduction.
Yeah, it's a big thing. Yep.
Okay.
That's what
Ni-
love is all about.
Nietzsche, expansion and self overcoming.
Yep. Yep. So this Yeah, so Schopenhauer would say one of the ways we cope against just being representatives of this will is reproduction. I mean, he was
Yeah,
influenced by Darwin, that we want to um in an attempt to, I think I might be putting words in his mouth, but what know, in an attempt to survive in this world as will, we pass ourselves on in our genes, right? So that's what
right.
this idea is. And then Nietzsche, on the other hand, it's kind of interesting with his idea of um love is
Ex-
that, go ahead, Cheech.
expression and self overcoming.
Yep, that's his idea of like, um do we want to do that through love? I mean, it could be possible,
Yeah,
Eros, right? Um and especially the idea of the Dionysus. Um, but yeah, but it's life reforming, not really to do with like spreading the species, more like
right.
raising yourself.
Right. Okay. Schopenhauer, evil, something to be escaped. Nietzsche, necessary, the fuel for the growth.
Mm. So Schopenhauer, wait, this is viewing evil?
Yeah. Well,
Something
this
to,
is his philosophy on the will. Evil, evil, something to be escaped with the
yeah, I
will.
guess that would be a result of the irrationality of it all, right? Because evil is a part of that, right?
Yeah.
And then and Nietzsche says something
Necessary,
inevitable. Yeah.
necessary, necessary
Necessary. Yeah. And
for
again,
the for growth.
evil's there, and then what evil doesn't kill you, it'll make you stronger. So
Right.
you and your road to being an Ubermensch, you conquer evil. Evil may exist or whatever. And again, he doesn't say that it's bad. It's just that
Yeah.
it's there for you to conquer it.
So for like Nietzsche, for the books for dummies, that they used to have, base for dummies and stuff.
Yeah.
So basically, Nietzsche for dummies, like myself, is basically what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yep.
Just
That's
overall,
essentially very simple. Yeah, very dummy there, but yes.
and then Schopenhauer is just the will is just there, and we don't control it. We're just
No, we
it's
just are
behind us.
trying to survive. And in a way, the will, aka life, is meaningless. There's no
Right.
meaning. And even if there was evil, we just try to.
Well, this is what it's funny. I'm looking at pessimism deny the will.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. Yeah, like,
Yeah,
same
yeah,
thing with
yeah.
Buddhists. They deny the will too.
Right. So that's his. So that would be Schopenhauer's main thing.
Yep.
Pessimism deny the will,
Yep.
and what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
That's Nietzsche.
Affirm, affirmation embraces and harnesses the will. Nietzsche.
That's Nietzsche.
Yeah.
So, example. Let me give you an example of layman's terms, temple language. All right.
Okay.
Schopenhauer's world.
Yeah.
That's the temple itself. You go in there, it's irrational, doesn't make sense, causes you suffering. You're trying to make use. The only
Yeah.
escape is your bass playing and the show,
Right.
the Cheech and
Yeah.
Manny music show. But
Exactly.
Nietzsche, on the other hand, you through your incredible skills in your job, that's Nietzsche. That you overcome that, despite. the sufferings of the job. You are the best at what you do there, and that's your goal, to be the best in everything. Bass
Right.
playing, your position in the temple, no, and trying to become your own Ubermensch in your little circle, in your little
And it's
fundamental table.
so these two guys are so different than Crowley. I almost want to like
Well,
dive into
that's gonna be
Crowley's
great
like
because on the second episode of the Esoteric Hour, so this is we're probably gonna conclude pretty soon.
yeah,
Um, but as a wrap up, but yeah, in our first episode on the will, this is philosophical setup because these are two
yeah,
great thinkers. One, both influenced by that we've been talking about the punk genre. But it's
yeah.
great because now we can kind of explore a little bit. What exactly are we talking about here? And then develop and see. That's what I was trying to tell you when we look at Crowley's idea of the will.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, do you want to tap into some Crowley stuff, or you want to just wait and do Ayn Rand and free will on the
Let's do
next
it like
episode?
that. Let's do the esoteric hours. Let's do it like that.
Yeah,
Put a
yeah. We'll keep we'll
bookmark
keep
on
it
this.
there. Yeah,
This is great. This is
yeah,
gonna be a new series that we got ongoing here.
yeah. And
So,
Joe,
so we got the
Silky
Frog
Joe.
Bible series. We
Yep,
got, oh, by the way, with Silky Joe.
yep. No, I'm just
Um,
saying, Silky Joe. I hope you're still with us.
yeah. So yeah, I hope you
Joe,
didn't like
Joe's
tap
mind
out
is
or like,
blown right now.
oh,
Joe's like,
he's taking.
"What
If
are
you're
they
taking a nap,
talking
it's
about?"
okay. Um,
Yeah.
we have our punk encyclopedia series, which is starting
Yep.
right now. We're gonna have some episodes coming out pretty soon, and
Yep.
this is the
And
Cheech
then
and Manny Show 2026, and we're already starting out with a bang.
and this is our esoteric hour, and we got heavy. Like we're hitting you up with two of the heaviest philosophers, and
And
like,
I'm trying to simplify it.
yeah,
This is like a semester course. Some of these topics.
yeah. So for fans of the Cheech and Manny show, just take little bits that we're talking about and digest it slowly, and you decide like whose will is better, Schopenhauer or Nietzsche. This is the point of this episode.
That is a great. Which will do you think is better? Which one do you agree with?
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
there's something wrong with you if you agree with Schopenhauer's will. I'm sorry to say. Nietzsche's
oh,
will makes so much more sense
N-
because there's a
n-
will to power,
right.
but
The problem is for the Christian is problematic, and also there is a sense of the Luciferian intellect in it, because that's the way Lucifer thinks. He thought
yeah,
he can be his own through pride. He thought
yes,
that he can go above God, and that's
yeah,
what caused, according to um, Mr. John Milton and others, causes fall from grace and
yeah, yeah,
intended to corrupt us. So Nietzsche would
definitely.
be kind of like Lucifer.
Well, so would Schopenhauer in a way, right?
Oh,
Because
well, yeah, we talked about that, but yeah, yeah,
yeah, they're both Luciferian,
yeah.
and
And we're gonna see if I know a lot of there's an accusation launched against Crowley with Lucifer. Um, Now and when we get to our Crowley episode, I don't know if you would agree with this. I see it,
Mhm.
and I'll explain more as we get in there. Yeah, but yeah. So we have these two
well,
philosophies, these two wills. Cheech, do you agree with any of?
Satanism,
Good.
Satanism, and Luciferian,
It's the same thing,
Luciferianism,
in my
to a
opinion.
degree, that there's some subtleties that are different from what I read
Do you want
about
to hear
it.
my opinion on it?
It's all the same because it's coming from an evil force.
Well, dude, it's not even evil. The thing is, it's well, obviously it's evil depending on the person, right?
If you're coming from the religion,
Yes. The thing
we
is, right, the self-worship, which a lot of churches of Satan claim, so
yeah,
that is Luciferian. Now, I'm not saying
yeah,
from a Christian perspective, yeah, that's bad. That's
yeah.
idolatry. But
Oh
Satan,
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
a kind of humanism. You see? That's why
yeah, yeah,
humanism is kind of tricky here from certain points of views.
yeah,
Now there are now the sort of I like to call them. This is my opinion. You can definitely disagree, dude. But there are also there are Luciferians and Satanists. Now the Satanists also now Luciferians do this. Is anybody like Anton's church or whatever LeVay's church?
yeah,
It's a cult of self-worship at the end of the day, and they respect Lucifer. The only problem is that, but look at who you're worshiping. But then
yeah,
a Satanist actually goes a step further, similar to magic. They try to use the dark force. I use Star Wars analogy here. They're sort
yeah,
of like they use the dark forces, evil, to conjure up. Sometimes they want Satan to come back.
yeah,
Sometimes voodoo is kind of like that.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
there's a lot of important symbols here, and I
You're,
actually believe in a
you're digging out the deities or Satan's work. Remember,
Exactly. Now you're
Papa
going a step
Legba and
further.
Latin
Right.
voodoo and stuff like
But
that. Yeah,
but it's all the same thing because what is your end philosophy? What are you trying to accomplish here?
yeah,
Now here's the kicker, though, my opinion. You can disagree.
mm,
With the Satanists, Satan has got you.
yeah,
Lucifer, you're on your way there. Luciferians. Because now you're
right,
thinking, I'm gonna worship myself. Why should I worship the man in the sky? I
yeah.
am and I was just
Uh,
it's kind of a little
Oh, you're your own God in
right,
those religions, and you
right.
can do what you choose, and that's why a lot of bad shit went down back in the day. It's not so bad now with these cults. They're not out there killing people, but back in the
I think it's happening behind the scenes, but
probably, but in the
yeah.
70s and stuff, like
More
with the Son of
open.
Sam
Right.
cult,
Right.
there was a lot of bad stuff. Oh,
Right.
well, according to Hollywood, we won't even go there.
Oh yeah. Oh
It's
yeah.
all about satanic
Yeah.
worship,
And
which
there's an interesting idea too, a little biblical, but definitely that a lot of babies would be sacrificed to these deities and Satan. So without
yeah,
going too
yeah.
much detail, I mean, it's
I
like
mean, you scroll through these reels and they're saying this stuff is happening now in Hollywood, and
it
I
makes you
sit there and
think.
go, I mean, it makes me think like, I mean, yeah, that stuff happened in the past. Definitely, they did horrible things. But is every artist doing that now in order to get a record deal? You know what I mean? Like that's what they're saying.
That is I think I said this. I don't know if behind closed doors, on live or whatever, not live, but
Yeah.
I know if you were gonna, I don't think Jimmy Page sold his soul to the devil.
No,
I don't think Robert Johnson did.
I don't think Robert
No,
Johnson did either.
I
I
think
think
when
it's all
no,
a
but I
gimmick.
think there are certain musicians, without going too much details, that
Right.
have and are actual Satan worshipers because Satan has got them. So they communicate
Yeah.
Satan to the public. And again, it makes sense because Satan would be the greatest musician.
Well,
So
see, why would Satan have such shitty music come out now?
no, but the music is what the masses like. He's smart. He's giving what the masses want.
Right.
Think about it. Meanwhile, us, we're unplugged from the matrix. We look at this, we're like, dang, what is
Yeah.
going on here? Anyway, a little tongue in cheek there, but
Yeah, but
um,
yeah, who knows? Who
yeah.
knows about
But
that stuff?
hopefully I explain myself, Cheech, with Satanism and Luciferian, and it's sort of like it's all the same thing, but one step further than Satanism is when like
Right. It's
Satan
taking
has
you
got
from
you
it's like
in this.
levels.
And this time, you ever seen the painting? You know the painter Hieronymus Bosch? You ever
No,
heard of him? He
no.
painted this horrible nightmarish vision of hell. A Satanist wants that on the world.
Wow.
I'll send you a picture of her.
Yeah.
I don't know
I'm
why I'm
surprised
having to
I've
pronounce it.
never.
Her Hieronymus Bosch. I think that's how you pronounce his
Yeah.
name.
But at the end of the day, Schopenhauer's pessimism, deny the will, and what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Embrace and harness the
You
will. There's
you
Nietzsche.
you create your will through this idea of the Ubermensch.
Yeah.
You creating your will.
So who wins
Oh, let me ask
in the
you, which
will?
one do you agree with more? What do you think in terms of will?
I gotta go in Nietzsche.
Right.
At
Now,
this
did
point in
this
my life.
episode change you or recently? Like,
Well, maybe I'm a little bit both because like when I wake up in a couple hours, I'm definitely Schopenhauer. You know, and then embracing.
Especially when you hear certain announcements.
Oh yeah, but I'm harnessing my will right now with
Right,
you. I'm doing what I want to do.
right,
I
right.
don't have to do this. I could be in bed. You know what I mean? You could be out. You could be doing, but we have a will to
Mm.
try to make the best podcast we could and educate
In a way, yeah, yeah.
these people. So is that's kind of our it's not our only will,
It's our will to
but
power in a way. Like
it's
we're,
our will to power to make the best
yep,
be the best podcasters
yep.
to people out there who hopefully want to learn. And it's hard in this world. Did I freeze up again?
No, you're good.
No. Oh. And it's hard in 2026 to do what we're doing, especially this show. Like to get people to get back and you would hope that young kids or take this is heavier than a philosophy class, by the way. You're not going to get this in college, but
No, this is way too heavy. Dude, you would need more time to explain all that. I was trying my best because it's hard, but
Yeah,
no, it's heavy stuff. And our idea is to start the conversation on the inaugural episode of the Esoteric Hour on the will, because then we're
yeah,
gonna get into really esoteric stuff.
yeah,
Ayn Rand, Rush, and then Crowley and their ideas of will. And
yeah. And those are the five philosophers that I think are known for the will.
hmm.
Nietzsche, Schopenhauer,
And we'll probably have an
Crowley.
episode on does free will exist? That's another debate.
I, I mean, I'm coming from the see. Out of all these people, I'm the Crowley will.
Yeah.
I come from Crowley's will, and I'm not saying like go out and shoot heroin up and have sex with Layla Waddles for 9 hours. You know what I mean? No.
This is a PSA from Cheech. No,
Yeah.
not endorsing heroin.
But I believe you were born with a true will, but your conditioned will holds you back, and you got to fight that will. That's Selima 101 right
Mhm.
there. There's that unconditioned will that's
So,
saying,
yeah.
go to the temple, go to the temple. Then there's the true will, do the podcast, play your bass and stuff. And you could easily say, nah, I'm too tired. I'm gonna get sucked into that unconditioned will.
Hmm.
I'm too tired, Manny. I gotta go. I had a rough day today. Bobby, I can't play tonight. I had a rough day at work. No, I got a condition. I have a true will to do that. You know what I mean?
All right.
And that's why I
Now,
love Crowley's Selima so
and I think I
much.
said this. It sounds like pop psychology, but he got this from the mystical experience, or was this
This is from Awas, his holy guardian angel in the Book of the Law,
right?
that his
That's also
wife
another, when we get there, we'll talk about that interesting detail there
his
because
wife
it's not
spoke
something,
to.
because pop psychologists have written about that. It sounds like pop psychology. Like you read any of these self-help books, that's a big theme.
Oh, believe it or not, Crowley's the king of self-help. Thelema, let me tell you something. There'd be no Wayne Dyer uh, without Crowley,
It,
because or the book The Secret. I remember my ex-wife said, "Oh, you're gonna love this. This is Crowley 101." And I read the book The Secret, and there's the Hermetic laws of the universe.
yeah,
So Hermes' his laws, which is going to a Freemason thing. So they speak on the law of attraction, which
yeah,
is the one thing. There's seven other laws,
yes, yes.
law of vibration, all that kind of
And
thing.
again, this is like secret knowledge, right? Like
This
gnosis.
is this is gnosis. This
And
is this is
hence the title of the book, The Secret. Secret.
exactly. And Rhonda Byrne, I recommend that book for anybody. When I read it, I was like, this is pretty much turning everybody onto Thelema.
No, and it's
Because this is
interesting because I'm you know this, I studied psych. So for me, I'm not trying to diss Crowley, it's just one of these
yeah,
observations. This sounds like a lame pop psychology book. Like I would read, like see on shelves, and psychologists, not me, I'm just saying like what I would
yeah.
see, they will scoff at this as like this isn't real psychology, whatever. And
Right.
it's
It's
fascinating.
it's mystical.
It's where he got it.
Yeah, and there's a guy who's interesting, Neville Goddard. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
Sounds
He's pretty
familiar.
he's pretty heavy too on this. But yeah, the Book of the Law is everything that became Thelema, and the
All
book
right.
The Secret is
And
pretty
Cheech,
much Thelema.
you as a follower of Jesus, how does this fit into that plan? What do you think? I always wonder what you think about that.
Um, well, I mean, like you said, you can't. It's hard when you look about the religious will. There's a problem. You
Yeah,
know what I
because
mean?
well, maybe that should be its own episode too on the esoteric,
Yeah.
right? When we
Like
can we
you
can
know how
include.
religious I am. I think my will is different than the views of the religious will. I don't know if I'm gonna go to hell for saying that, but like I kind of feel that the will is what you want it. You have to choose your will. You have to
So you
your
are coming,
will.
and it's interesting. Unlike Schopenhauer, um, it seems to me that the world presents you with wills, and so you need to now. Is this
No, no, no.
our
I
will?
have my own will. I have a true will
So the true
because
will is inside of you. So you're born with it?
it's a good question. because
Right? It's gonna no, no, by the way, and this is Crowellian, by the way, I made that word up, but Crowellian philosophy, right? Like
that I don't know. I don't know if Aleister Crowley talked about if you're
and
born with your
also
true
do
love.
what I will. What exactly does that mean? Like in your because you're the Crowley
Fo-
scholar.
follow your path,
So
but
do what thy wilt is follow your path.
follow your true will, but rule it with love.
Well, actually,
Uh,
and that's and maybe we're jumping ahead with the Crowley stuff because and maybe we'll leave it at that so we don't lose viewers further.
yeah,
But yeah, get ready,
but
guys. This is the Esoteric
uh,
Hour. No, we're
um,
not smoking or taking drugs right now.
no, we are.
And Joe, we apologize, but if you're still with us, man, you are a true fan.
I know Joe's the only one that stuck it out, and uh,
Meanwhile, one of our imagine we had like back, you know how there are engineers when someone we recording music, like
yeah,
meanwhile our engineers are just like
and and there's somebody going right now. Socrates, talk about Emmanuel Kant. That's my idol. That's his idol. Emmanuel Kant. Emmanuel Kant is that man's idol, I think. I'm gonna hear it tomorrow because he knows when we do the shows. He has a secret magic thing he can
Oh,
plug into
you
to
know
our
how he's in his office, that's what he's watching when he's just like,
yeah. What Stormcock Schopenhauer. Okay, we haven't lost our minds, but we are working on our movie script. So if there's
Dude,
any,
tune in.
I wrote some, and what do you think
We're,
of the
I love it. We're gonna develop like a mini script, and I'm gonna try to find out. We might have to pay for it as an aside.
yeah
AI animating thing. Let's see if we can bring it to life because I think
yeah,
it'd be great.
and our influences are the regular show, and
Dude,
Beavis and
I think
Butthead,
I'm telling you,
all the
I
classics.
won't lie to you. Like this idea of like Benson, like get back to work. Like, dude, that's where I
Oh, I
just like,
asked my kid. Benson is he's a bubble gum machine. He's a bubble gum. Like back in the day, he put a
dude,
quarter in.
yeah, literally,
It makes sense, right?
dude.
Wonder if I put a quarter in tomorrow, will I get some gum?
You imagine you go in his office, you have a quarter. And by the way, I still haven't received my Vandergraaf Generator album. Still
Oh my
waiting for it.
God. You got to
For
get
my
that.
birthday. Come on,
It's been way past your birthday, man. You got to get that Gentle
dude.
Giant album.
Oh, dude, I don't know if you saw this. I gave you this list a YouTube video on the greatest. And don't worry, I'm gonna blurb that his he who shall not be named name, so I'll fix that after. But
Yeah.
I was watching this list, and now I gotta listen to Gentle Giant and Camel and Vandergraaf Generator. I know Joe, so funny, he posted a video of Over the Hills and Far Away by Led Zeppelin as a prog rock cleanser. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Joe, help, I may have to go to rehab. I I can't, and it's crazy. I'm listening to um one of my favorite bands is America, and I listen to their
Oh,
songs,
love that.
some songs and albums. I love their albums, but it's
Yeah.
crazy. I listen to them and I'm like, then turn back red or turn back
Oh,
like tall. I don't know. It's
Red.
weird.
I mean, we have this whole concept that Mr. Black or maybe the Metal Table gave us. Red is going to be a part of like, is it existentialism?
I
Is it?
we and it's gonna be a part I think in the Esoteric show
It's
because
in, yeah. Red,
it
we're going to
is
break
we're
down Red, and
philosophical. What
yeah,
exactly? Yeah, I'm so excited for that
we're talking
because
about King Crimson's Red. It's a very esoteric,
existential,
existential. Yeah,
dreadful. I didn't realize death is a main
it's the
um
main theme. It's dark.
um and
You know,
dude, one more red nightmare. So I don't know, maybe I'm crazy for this, but down, 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 down. I'm
you hear the
hearing,
drum fills in that song?
dude,
Oh my
the
God.
drum fills are like I have so much respect also for John Wetton, dude. I hear his
I have to
bass like,
say, I think Red is Bill Bruford's best drumming ever.
dude, I
And
would
I know that's a bold statement,
it
but
honestly, this is pinnacle. Bruford drumming. I don't think he never got this good again. Obviously, yeah, we can
I
be
don't
wrong.
think I think Crimson peaked on Red. I'm sorry. And
Dude,
I was
I would
doing
even
some
argue
homework.
this might be sacrilegious. I think it's better than the Court of the Crimson King.
I think
I,
so too.
I mean, I
I
love
was
both
doing
albums, so obviously it'd be like comparing apple pie with like, a better
yeah.
pie or whatever, but
I was comparing I was doing some homework for the I told Joe next week we'll probably do best bass player in
yeah.
Prague, you know. So I was I got to put Tony Levin in there. We
Hmm.
talked about Tony
Yep.
Levin
Yep.
and because he played with
Yep.
Gabriel and stuff.
Yep.
And the guy's a freaking
Oh,
genius studio guy.
musician par
But
excellence.
his years with Crimson doesn't compare to the John Wetton era of Crimson. And I'm not
Dude,
dissing Tony Levin. I love Tony Levin.
it is peak, and it's amazing how they just three, a trio, managed to create one of the
And a cellist, the guy who played
and a few
violin. Yeah,
friends, yeah, on some of
yeah,
the
yeah,
good esoteric pieces on the album,
yeah,
um, managed to create one of the most progressive magical albums that you will ever
yeah,
hear. Now, I'm not gonna lie, it is a dark listen, very
yeah.
dark. You can hear you can hear the Schopenhauer in the music and like
It's a sound. It's the soundtrack to the philosophy we're
yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, and think about the album cover, red, right? So blood and then black. They're all like and they're even like looking. The only one I always laugh, you see John Wayne, and it's funny. There's two album cover versions. So they released a new special edition where I think they remixed it. Now on this one, he's serious, John Wayne. But on the original,
Really? They changed
yeah,
it? Oh
yeah,
wow.
it's actually pretty cool. But on the original album covers, he's like
Yeah.
smiling. I always think it's like a nod, like get
It's
ready
yeah.
because this is now
It's a
peak.
dark smile. It's
It
like
is sinister. Yeah, it's
yeah,
great. And
yeah.
Starless, dude, the song Starless. Think
It's
about
amazing.
and well, there'll be an esoteric episode because we're gonna explore
Oh yeah. We're gonna be
the
rocking.
nihilism, the existentialism,
Hmm.
the pessimism, right? All these
Yeah.
isms.
It's almost punk philosophy in that,
Yeah,
So,
punk progressive
so
version.
yeah, we've covered so much philosophy on the show through music. I mean, because of Rush mainly,
Yep,
and now we're doing our own show on philosophers, which is insane. We did the
yep,
punk philosophy, Rush's philosophy.
yep, yep.
Now we're doing that's and you killed it. You killed it on these philosophers, dude. Because I'm just considering myself a student of philosophy now after 56 years. Because I have a teacher. Because you
Yeah.
make it you make it of sense. And then philosophy is also how you interpret it too. That was always my thing. Sometimes I didn't understand it, and I would say, let me just take it and interpret it like music.
Right.
Like
No, in
learn.
philosophy, yeah, no, philosophy at the end of the day is I don't do it. It's love of wisdom. I love it, so I'm glad there's an outlet for me because obviously I haven't been able to teach philosophy at like educational levels yet,
Yeah,
but I love it because it's like it makes you think. It's love of wisdom. I love to learn and I love knowledge as well,
yeah,
and I'm not um and it's different because I consider myself an amateur theologian, so theology. And obviously my bread and butter is psychology. So these three is the holy trinity for me,
I
and that's
remember
how
in
I can kind of like argument and like piece together like meaning, and like
right.
ideas of um like music is one way to unite these stuff. So that's why I love music, that reason.
Yeah, I remember I bought a book in a stationery store, quotes of philosophers, when I was 18, and there was like just these
Those are great.
amazing
Those
quotes.
are great. Yeah.
And then I took because those little quotes you could learn so much and apply it.
Yeah. A lot
You
of
have
it's
to
quoted from their
apply
famous
it.
works. Yep.
You're like an instrument. That's the music you're reading or listening
Yep.
to, and you apply it, and it comes out.
Yep.
Then
Yep.
when I took philosophy in high school from a great teacher, I didn't it was hard to digest at 18,
Well,
but I
no,
was
and think about what
getting
I'm just doing to you right now. Now, I've read so many books at this point, like the Noumenon, Things in Themselves, and
yeah,
the Kantian Copernican Revolution, and his ideas, idealism. Like, it
yeah,
requires a little time to think about.
yeah,
But essentially you're thinking, right? You're trying
right,
to make sense of the world, and at the same time, but I guess Schopenhauer case, you don't want to be like Schopenhauer. but it's
No.
actually you love wisdom. You're trying to understand. You love
Right.
understanding.
And
Now,
that's the whole point of this
that's you.
show, the
You love
esoteric era.
understanding. And I won't lie. I mean, most people don't like this. I get it. It's all good. It's
Well,
all
most
good.
people don't want to think.
Well, that's
They
another
ra-
problem.
they'd
Yeah,
rather just
yeah.
sit in front
See,
of
no.
a
And for me,
TV or a screen, you know.
one of my teaching philosophies is listen, yes, like, yeah, you gotta learn some theory, but what I want is to teach you to get you out of the cave and think. It's not just
Yeah.
like a lot of
Yeah.
people.
Everybody get out of Plato's cave.
Yeah, seriously.
No, I think the world we're in is we're in Plato's cave.
No, no, think about it like this too. Like I remember I grew up with the song 50 Cents in the club.
Yeah. Yeah.
The song, see something some like Lucifer try to get me at right now. But um uh you go from you can find me in the club. Oh, we're gonna pop bottles. We go from that to down, 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 bam.
Well,
And for me, no,
what?
let me tell you, it changed my brain chemistry. You
Oh,
go,
Crimson will
you
do
go
that.
from my name is what? My name is who? Slim
Yeah, yeah,
Shady to
yeah,
down, 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 down,
yeah.
down, 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 down. Like, dude, that's me. My goal, that's music. But my goal in education is like, dude,
Same thing. Music and philosophy,
love learning. It's
they're the same thing,
no,
you
learning
know?
doesn't suck. It's actually like fun when you actually like get
Yeah.
into it and like I get really excited with certain topics. I know students, if they're
Oh,
watching
yeah.
this, well, probably they're not. Because if I checked out 2 minutes in,
I
um,
know.
like that's what I do. And like I'm so lucky because I get to teach like a language too, like making it fun
Oh,
using
yeah, yeah.
music. Music is one of my key things. Um, but that's my goal. Make learning
I
fun.
love it. You got a great goal, man, and you're fulfilling it. You're doing wonderful. I think I'm going to put it this way. We were out. This is my theory about music and using Plato.
Yeah,
Okay. So we were out of Plato's cave for many years in music,
yeah.
from
There were a lot of
Bach,
experience. Yeah, yeah.
from French
Yeah.
Baroque,
Wait,
Rococo period.
if I can, yes, and if I can add more to this example you're doing, out of Plato's caves, but there are moments when we come back inside, but then we're out again, and the moments when we come back inside.
I mean, I like that, but I don't think anything sucked really bad from
Okay,
The Rococo period
I see what
to
you mean. So we were
the
music brought us up for the longest time,
yeah, we have Rococo period, Baroque period, classical,
and when you
romantic,
think about
20th
it,
century.
from that period, in
Yeah,
terms of like what of the compositions that are now been left to us, there's really no bad pieces.
no, no.
Even like going back to like, 7th century Gregorian chants are stunning.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
you know what I mean? There are no bad pieces at
no.
all.
So
And that, yeah,
we were at a Plato's cave, and then let the blues and jazz, rock and
yeah,
roll, Elvis Presley,
yeah,
the
popular
Beatles,
music.
Led Zeppelin, prog rock, punk rock, 80s, the grunge, and then stop where you started to quote that 50 Cent song. And then it's like, wait, we're back in Plato's cave.
Yeah, in a way.
And where we are now is a Plato has 9 caves that we're stuck in.
I
We're,
think
in, we're
I think we're deep in the cave, and the shadows are now. There is no. It's pretty much all shadows.
it's all yeah, it's right. It's all yeah, all we see is shadows in music. This
Yeah,
is such a dude, this is a great analogy for music.
I love Plato's
Using
cave. I always use it. Yeah.
using Plato's cave in music right now,
Hmm.
we're seeing shadows. That's
Hmm.
all we friggin' see.
Yep.
And we're labeling these shadows
Yep.
now. When you have to label music and the kind of people that listen to music, that's where it's wrong. Everybody should listen to every music, and it shouldn't matter. You know what I mean? I think there should be no judgment on what you like and what you don't like, or what you like and what you do, what you don't like. You know what I mean? And now I think it's just sad that you can't say what you like because there's going to be a
Well,
judgment.
we'll end up being like, I'm not saying that we're the same, but we're gonna end up like either being crucified or we're gonna have to swallow poison like Socrates did.
I know. And I'll get ready to swallow that poison.
Yeah, or like that the guns right there. I'm kidding.
Sure,
Those guys over.
Camus, But anyway, I love the Plato's Cave interpretation of music because
Mhm.
we were out for many years now. We're in that cave, and
In
people
a
might,
way, I would say so. There with geese, there's like
oh
glimmer,
yeah, yeah, no, geese we
glimmers
get
of
out.
hope, but
There's, yeah, geese definitely gives us glimmers of hope.
but I don't know. The
I
way
can't
things are
think of
going, it's kind
any.
of hopeless.
I don't want to be too negative, but
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's
for the
hope.
music, the way the music industry is now, it just went to went in the shitter, in my opinion, and they're back in Plato's cave.
Mhm.
So for you people that really love music and philosophy, this is gonna make a lot of sense what we're
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah,
But if you're a 20-year-old who's like, what? We didn't mention anything negative about anybody or music, but we're just saying that music is in Plato's cave right now.
mm,
So do your homework on that, people, and see what we mean.
mhm.
So
Yeah, man.
anyway, dude, this was I think slightly, I'm not gonna use the R word. I think I think I slightly became that R word after this now. I think my brain is not is falling out of my eyelids.
I know it's crazy, right?
My nose is,
I'm
I mean,
operating on just level one. You get deep in this stuff.
do you imagine Harvard philosophers going to Harvard and studying like a Harvard philosophy
Well,
class?
that's what you study, and that's what I love. But that's what you study. You learn from the thinkers. You really have to
Yeah.
read and think and write.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I always like talking to the philosophy teacher that comes in the temple. And I'm gonna tell him to watch the show when I see him. Because he's always asking how's the podcast doing. He did one on punk and philosophy, and that's
Oh,
where I kind of got the idea.
that's
And
cool.
I had mentioned to him, I'm dying to bring up Schopenhauer to him. I brought up Ayn
Yeah,
Rand, and he kind of was like, "Nope, nope, no Ayn Rand."
yeah. Well, we'll have an episode on Iron Man because Rush
Yeah,
and
we
her
got.
idea of the will. But
Now she has her whole will objectivism. She's
yeah,
a. I think I like her philosophies. I
yeah.
like and because she's what would you call? She puts her philosophy in her writings, like Anthem.
She is one of those like Plato, like Nietzsche did this too, where using fiction or like he try to explain his philosophy using the
Yeah. The
words.
Republic, Plato's Republic, is basically that kind of thing.
In a way, a symposium, yes, the
Yeah,
dialogue.
yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
yep,
yeah,
yep.
yeah.
But for our
So
viewers out there, if you're still with us, please give this video a like, subscribe to our channel. This isn't no, we're not giving up music. This is gonna be the esoteric era where we're gonna be talking about like deep topics. This is our first foray into philosophy officially. I
yeah,
technically we started with punk, which is really
yeah,
great. But I think it's gonna be an ongoing series, and this is a series
yeah,
on the will. So
yeah.
on the next hour, we're gonna be talking about Aleister Crowley and looking at him and
In his
looking at
will.
his polema and his idea of the will, and then my maybe disagreements with it, and my theory of who this angel was. Um, but yeah, we'll head there. But Cheech, man, dude, this is great, brother.
Oh, this was amazing. Thanks, Manny, for your amazing knowledge on philosophy and teaching me. I hope I had some good points because I'm always nervous when I bring up philosophy around the
Nah,
master.
the goal is to think,
Yeah.
and we did some thinking, right? And great connect. I like to use connections like Whiplash movie.
Oh, I love how you put the music in there.
I've been thinking about that. Yeah.
Because music, because our show is a music show
Mhm.
essentially, and there's no way we could do a show without bringing in music.
Yeah.
It's always going to go back
Oh,
to Rush. It's
it
going to go back to,
yeah, exactly.
but amazing, man. I love the Whiplash reference. That's, everybody watch that movie Whiplash, especially if you're a
I
musician.
I see it at least like twice. I love that movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
even though it's a hard
Oh,
watch sometimes, but
and in this world, I was thinking this today, in this musical world that we live in, and I watch reels and I see how people become so famous and so successful,
mm,
and maybe there is maybe occult reasons and stuff, but I
mhm.
feel like Salieri. Not only do I feel like Schopenhauer, but I've become Salieri sometimes.
Yeah,
I feel like Salieri when I look and I see people, that are super famous, and you're like, gracias. What did he say? Gracias, signore.
I
Gracias,
love that
gracias,
movie.
signore.
And we're gonna have a future episode on that movie too. I could see that where you see like
Gracias,
without
signore.
mentioning this person's name, who definitely is not like Mozart, but conquering, selling how many records, and meanwhile
I I
you're
I
here
feel
in
like
Pottersville VX. Dun, dun, dun,
yeah,
dun, dun,
yeah,
dun,
that
dun.
that should be everywhere, man. And I feel like Antonio Salieri. Gracias,
Yeah,
signore.
yes.
That's what I.
Oh,
But
hey,
anyway,
remember the scene with the priest? Is like you probably like Salieri's like you probably know this piece. Din, din, din.
oh, when he's in the mental
And the priest is
hospital.
like, "Oh, I do know that." Da, 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 da. He's like,
Yeah.
"That was Mozart."
And then when Salieri played something, he's
He
like,
plays something like, "That's you. You with somebody. You're gonna be like, you're gonna play your piece, Fat Chicks." Ding,
yeah.
ding, 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 ding,
And the
ding. The
priest is
person's
gonna
gonna be
go,
like, priest or somebody's gonna be like, I don't know that one. What about this? And then you're gonna play something from like a certain record. Boom,
yeah.
boom, 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 boom. Oh, I know that. I know that.
You're gonna play. Okay, oh, I know that one.
I know that one.
Anyway, we'll end this. Grazie, Salieri.
Grazie,
Uh,
signore.
uh, Peace. Salieri is my man right there.
We got to
But
do an episode on that movie, by the way, and
oh
talk about
yeah,
Mozart. That'd be a good one to talk about classical music
yeah. And Salieri,
in the
the
future.
underdog, he was no slope, man. That guy wrote some good shit.
Yeah,
He wrote
in
some good
real life,
music.
yeah. Obviously, the movie was a little fictional for
Uh,
sure.
the free, the
But I,
Freemason,
I
the
do love
Freemason
the
killed him.
themes and how you
Yeah.
connected that. You look at some other, and some Mozarts, and you're Salieri, like, grazie, signore.
I feel like that's what I said when I saw a clip, and then I got the history of something, and I was like, yeah, why? Grazie,
Yeah,
signore.
grazie, signore.
It's like why do some
Yeah.
people, and then even
Meanwhile, you're
like
like the best, like, and you're trying to be the best. And meanwhile,
but
some people,
Salieri, he got it the worst. I mean, maybe it was fictionalized. I don't think so
there's
because
some
I I
truth
I, I
in that
studied.
movie. There's truth in it, and when we talk about that movie in the future, we should have episodes like musical movie hour or whatever. But
Yeah,
um, the religious themes and the unfairness, we can talk about that.
I studied with a guy who was a Mozart expert. He was a pianist. He knew everything. He played in the orchestra. And I said, the movie Amadeus. I want to know about Salieri. And he's like, oh, that's interesting. You want to know? I said, is it true he killed him? I said, it's all fake. He
Yeah.
goes, they were actually friends. But Salieri had a jealous streak, and
Yes.
everybody in Vienna had a jealous streak because the biggest star in the world took over Vienna,
Hmm.
and the biggest musician, and nobody cared about anybody else's music.
Hmm.
It's kind of
And
happening. It's happening now in a way.
and when you think about it, tell somebody, hey, give me a Salieri piece. Hmm. Mozart. Da, na, 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 na,
See, remember that scene
na,
when he was
na, 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 dun, da, 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 dun, da, 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 dun, da, da. Like, dude, it is kind of strange.
you remember when they had the masks on and they're at the
Yeah.
ball? Mozart's all wasted, and he goes and they say, "Play something, Hail Mozart," and he's playing something, and they're like, "Play some Bach." He's like, "Oh, boring, play, whoever composer." Then so there he's like, "Play some Salieri," and he's like, "Ah." Challenging. And he starts playing it and he starts doing his stuff. And then he bends over and he farts in Salieri's face.
Funny if someone, yo, dude, how funny will it be if someone like goes in your show and wants a certain cover of a certain, person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put the mic up there. Just rip one.
Oh my God. That's what Salieri did try to kill himself. That's why he wound up in the
Yeah.
mental
No,
hospital.
and again, I mean, Salieri obviously is not remembered. I mean, and that's the core of the movie, and we'll talk
Yeah.
about that because I have my own reflections on that movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
And
fascinating because
if I remember my teacher, I made him play Salieri. He's like, you inspired me to play some pieces, and that's how I borrowed some of the back then. You, that's how primitive it was. I borrow the records, put on my record player, and I'd hit the tape, and I go from record to tape, and I still have the Salieri tapes. You know, God, we covered so much shit with pessimism.
I,
like,
I know, I know. But
like
again, she's dude, this is a pleasure, brother.
oh, I love it, Manny. This is amazing. We're all over the map in a good way, and if you're still with us, Silky Joe, we love you. 'Cause
Look
I
at
know you're
Joe, man.
hanging.
If you're still
Joe's
with
hanging
us,
on. Joe's hanging on
yo,
by
he's
a
like hanging
thread.
on tight. I'm trying here. When is that
I'm
storm
not
cloud
gonna let it
coming?
go.
When is that storm cloud coming?
But if there's young kids that did watch this, please
Yeah.
study philosophy.
Oh,
Go out there, read.
and for anyone new or young, especially if you have questions, below,
Yeah,
Cheech will come and I will come and we love no dumb questions. Yeah, ask away. Want music recommendations? I mean, you can give a primer where to
yeah,
start,
yeah.
me and myself as well. And yeah, I hope you got something out of this. This is a
And
esoteric hour.
and let us know your favorite. Necessary 2 hours now. Uh,
I know,
uh,
right?
let us know your favorite philosophers
Yeah, yeah.
and why.
And if more, please comment. Who do you think? Is does Schopenhauer win? Nietzsche? Neither. Who do you agree with? Disagree with?
Yeah,
That on you on, right?
who's the better philosopher,
Oh, who's a
Nietzsche
better
or Schopenhauer?
philosopher as well? Right. Yeah, yeah. Comment
Who
below. Would
who
love to hear
who
it from you.
who describes the will the best,
Yeah.
Schopenhauer
Yeah.
or Nietzsche?
Yeah. We'd love to
Let
hear.
us let We'd love to know.
Yeah.
So on that note, as I go into my Plato's cave, Nanu Nanu, great episode, Manner, and glad we got this in.
Yeah, man.
And there'll be another esoteric hour in the future, and then we'll be going back to progress. And how many in the bag? How many do we have that a lot we haven't released?
Yeah, there's a
I know
lot. Yeah, I'm kind of getting overwhelmed. Like we got so much back end. Like
it's insane. You
I
got
may
to see
release
my
this one first. I'm kind of excited for this one. The first esoteric.
you got to see the notebooks I have stacked
Dude,
on all the stuff I'm
we're working
writing.
overtime. And the goal
Yeah,
is to teach knowledge, love of wisdom, love of music. That's the
because this is, according to Mr. Aleister Crowley, our true will.
all true. Well, I love it. And for my closing salvo, you are what you listen to. If you love this show, give this video a like
Wait, you are what you read.
and you are what you read. Yeah, I think I got it from that, but you are what you listen to, and you are what you
Yeah,
read in this case. So,
definitely.
yeah, go out there, read some great books.
Definitely.
All right,
All
Chief,
right, man.
man, this is great,
Peace
brother.
out. I'll talk to you soon.
Peace out, brother. Till the next esoteric hour, or next Silky Joe moment or show, or next punk episode.
There'll be so many. There's so many. All right, man.
All right,
You have a
Chief,
good night.
take
Take
it easy,
care.
brother.